Yes, welcome everybody to the Trek Show. I am Captain Idle. I am joined by Automaton 2000, and below me is Stars and Garters, and we're here to talk about Star Trek for the next however long it takes us to finish this show. Which, bearing in mind, our subject content tonight could be a while because we've got a lot to catch up on. Oh, hang on. What? Someone's at the door. My son has just told me someone's at the door. I've got to go.
Go.
You guys can carry on. I'll be back in a minute.
Vamp, quickly!
Wait, when we say Star Trek content, we are including, of course, the legendary Galaxy Quest, which we're going to do about a full hour on.
Guess what? It's more of a Star Trek movie than any of the Abrams movies. I'm sorry, and I include Beyond, and I like Beyond.
Hold on, are you gatekeeping real Trek stars?
Yes.
You wouldn't do that, would you?
I'll gatekeep the fuck out of real Trek when it comes to those movies.
Yeah, no. That's good. We've all watched it recently. They've actually, and we'll get into it later, pulled some trivia for it, but it actually did inspire the J.J. Abrams movies. Because when he was putting them together, filming them, he had the actors sit down and watch some Galaxy Quest to get the vibe of what they were supposed to be going.
Don't watch Star Trek. You're doing a reboot of Star Trek. Don't watch Star Trek.
Hello. Okay.
Watch Galaxy Quest. Okay, JJ.
That was apparently the shopping. They missed a part of my delivery and they came back and went, "Oh, we forgot all your frozen items." So I was like, "Oh, thank you." And my son was just like, "There's someone at the door."
Got your magnum done, Mr. Idol.
All my Corinthian leather I ordered today. Anyway, yes. So yes, we're going to cover Galaxy Quest. I assume that's what you guys were just talking about. We're going to be doing that a little bit later, but we've got some news and stuff that's going on. So, but welcome to everyone. Apologies for Trek Time TV not working properly in the pre-show. I've had to break it, and now I've broken it properly. So we'll see if I can get that working again. In the meantime, we had Shatner Shilling 2, which will be a theme tonight. There will be some more Shatner Shilling as we go on. I think I'm going to make that my quote of the week. Everyone should be doing a little bit of Shatner Shilling in their life to get theirs. What would you do for your Shatner Shilling moment?
I guess I would like try and claim that me and Leonard Nimoy reconciled before he died, even though he didn't, because I was a massive asshole.
How would you?
It's funny because I read his book Leonard. I think it's called Leonard recently, and like the whole last chapter is just him talking about how he sent this letter to Nimoy who never responded, and then he like copied the whole letter. He's like, "See how great I am talking to my friends."
And Walt Koenig and frickin' George Takei are out there like, yeah, whatever, Bill, whatever.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is another reason why Galaxy Quest is great, because Jason and Alexander do make up at the end, and they realize they're both egotistical maniacs. So
they just feed off of each other.
Not entirely wrong. So,
but enough about this show. What do we have on the docket today?
So tonight, assuredly, there will be 0 Picard season 3 spoilers. I know I said that at the beginning of the ship interview with Bill Krause, Thomas Marone, and
I knew that wasn't going to
Sean Drongo, and then one of them goes, what about this? I'm like, okay, well, fine, scrap that idea then. But no, 0 Picard season 3 spoilers. We probably next time we do this show, we may have a big season 3 of Picard rundown, because we haven't actually given our opinions outside of, say, our Discords about it yet. So we'll do it at some point. But 0 tonight. I want to give an update on. Go on.
Season 3 is, in fact, a season of Star Trek.
It is.
I can say that definitively.
Well, so was season 2, and season 1.
Most seasons.
That's correct.
Most
they
seasons
are all
of
seasons.
Star Trek that have aired have been seasons of Star Trek, despite what most people think. There are no seasons of Star Trek that aren't seasons of Star Trek.
Okay, but question.
Go on.
Does Operation Earth, or whatever it's called, the one with Gary Seven, is that technically an episode of Star Trek, or is it just an episode of Gary Seven show?
No, that's a bonanza episode.
It's an episode of Gary Seven's show that never, that was a crossover. That's what it actually is.
You know that episode you don't like? So go.
If you're a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, I only recently saw the final episode. Season 5, when they lose Don Knotts, a.k.a. Barney Fife, and they switch to color, it took a huge drop in value, in quality. But if you watch the final episode, it's actually just a pilot for another show, which I guess they did a lot back then. And it's very disappointing. So this has been Andy Griffith Talks on Trek Time Channel.
Yeah, we'll get that one. I've never watched or even know what Andy Griffith. I can't even say Griffith is. Okay. Anyway, I was
season 1 has Commissioner Headford from the
Oh,
TOS
okay.
with Zephram Cochrane. So there's your
Oh,
link
wow.
to Star Trek.
So let's start with a bit of exciting news.
You are a singular intelligence.
Have you got with all the with all the that was a good pull. Wow.
Thank you.
With all the season 3 of Picard and with Lower Decks and various other means, are you sick of Jonathan Frakes yet? I'm not,
No.
because now he has been announced to be returning to Star Trek in the form of Star Trek Resurgence, the game that is coming out this month on the 23rd, I believe, 23rd or 24th,
Yes, I believe
on
so,
PC, PlayStation 5 and Xbox, whatever. And he'll be returning, obviously, as Riker. He's not playing somebody else. He's playing O'Connor this week, no.
No, he's playing Tom. He's playing Tom
yeah.
Riker. Spoilers.
But there we go. No, he will be joining
Okay,
the crew
so,
of the ship on that one.
A link in chat. He was also recently on the Shuttle Pod show.
Yes.
So there are Picard season 3 spoilers, of course, but he's on there. I guess he's making his media rounds, and he did say in there he loves doing voice acting work. He'd love to be doing more. So there you go.
A lot of people love voice acting work that do that.
So XCOM 2 has this weird thing where there's a massive expansion for it. It's like a strategy game where you fight against aliens, right? And then for some reason, there's an expansion where they just add 90% of the TNG cast.
Oh, really?
Like Marina Sirtis, Michael Dorn, John Frakes, all of them are just characters in this.
Was it a Gargoyles expansion?
No, because some of these people weren't in Gargoyles, believe it or not. And I'm like, why is Denise Crosby here? And I'm like, I don't mind it, but it's such a weird grafting of the TNG cast onto an existing property, not unlike Picard season 3 from what I'm
Just close your eyes and pretend you're on an away mission.
Pretty much. Honestly,
was that XCOM 1 or 2?
XCOM 2.
There's XCOM 2.
which
I've got
was
XCOM
weird.
2, but I don't have the expansion, so maybe I may pick that up at some point. But yes, he will be in Star Trek Resurgence, which also features, I believe the character of Spock will be in it, but obviously not voiced by Leonard Nimoy.
They should have just got an Ethan Peck. They
kind of should, but it is an older Spock. Maybe he could have done it. I don't know. The
cares?
Impressionist is, but
I'd rather have the good impression that Ethan Peck does. Well, not even an impression. He is Spock at this point, than a bad impression.
Yeah,
you know.
But it
I
would be
love
awesome.
how First Stars is gatekeeping Real Trek, and I was gatekeeping who gets to be considered Spock. He's like, no, he's Spock.
Yeah.
This one isn't.
Yeah. Guess what? That's what happens when you are the gatekeeper. I am the gatekeeper.
Zachary Quinto's a good show.
Of tomorrow.
Zachary Quinto's a good show, Walt. I like that idea. Oh, why is my chat not working on screen either? Everything is broken tonight. This is ridiculous.
Everything's broken.
We'll see what you will do.
But yeah, Star Trek Resurgence is a kind of Telltale-esque kind of game. If you played any of those before, where you sort of run through the ship. I believe you're playing the first officer of the ship, which is name I have forgotten. But
and a random engineering officer, I believe.
Okay, and it's a Centaur class starship, and I've read all the prequel comics, and they're pretty good. You're kind of filling the shoes of the previous first officer, who was a bit of a gung ho kind of person. But I'm very intrigued. I think we're going to be streaming it for sure as soon as it comes out. So
yeah, we're already talking about how we're going to do that.
Yes.
I'm actually going to be on holiday near when it debuts, so we might have to put our long form LP with multiple playthroughs to get all the endings on hold for a little bit. But we will be playing that together.
Oh, there we go. Chat is working. I just had it hidden. There we go. I fixed chat. Wonderful.
Do not stifle the people.
I cannot stifle them.
You freaking bourgeoisie ass.
Let's get on to the juicy stuff. Did you know, if you haven't seen it, go on.
Jonathan Frakes, pretty damn juicy. I served him adoption papers the other day. He hasn't responded yet, but I have a good feeling. He might pick me up pretty soon.
What is the latest age you can be adopted? Could you be adopted if you're like 70?
Any age, I imagine.
Like, is there like a limit once you hit like 18 or 21? Like, maybe they'll be like,
I would imagine it would be when you can no
own.
longer when you're considered legally responsible for yourself. So
Yeah, maybe it is.
Can we do a petition?
Look, don't ruin my dreams. I want Frakes to be my dad, okay?
Can we run one of the petitions?
No, you can't. Don't even try.
And see if we get can we get someone to see if we can adopt stars for the low cost of £5 a month? You could adopt. It's like adopting a donkey or something. You get the little pictures every week.
So
of stars by the
complimentary, I
park.
hope.
It's just me holding up a whiteboard that says professionalism, and then a list of all your mistakes.
Don't think you've got a big enough whiteboard. Okay, talking of juicy, wonderful things. Strange New Worlds, the second Caesar trailer is out there on the interweb, on the YouTubes. You can go and view it, and it's exciting. It's making me sweat. What do we think, guys?
Hold on, before we dive into that, the show notes still say Idle's cat update. So can we get to that, please?
You want to update? Well, so okay,
How's she doing?
I half wanted to mention this. So if, I think I mentioned this on the Discord. I may not have. Yeah, my cat got hit by a car, which wasn't great. Sort of went out looking for it. We got a post on Facebook. Someone's seen a black cat run across the road. Someone's hit it, and I was like, oh god, go and look for her. And couldn't find her. And then about 10 o'clock, she came limping in, very sadly. But she is fine. She's had some X-rays and is currently sitting up. She's got 6 weeks of being in a cage. For an outdoor cat is gonna be a nightmare for her, but she's doing all right. She's up there. So
I'm glad she's doing all right.
It was a stressful
make sure
moment.
Your first officer is doing all right.
Yes, I had a very stressful moment last night when it was like, she's coming back tonight, but she needs a cage, and we need a tray, and we need stones. And I was like, right, I have to go to the pet shop at like 6 o'clock at night. Just kind of like, please be open. Yes, you're open. Thank you. I need all your things.
Yeah. Idle misunderstood the vet's directions and put the episode The Cage on repeat for the next 6 weeks.
She's enjoying
that poor cat.
that cat is going to look up at you and go, is there any way I can stop them from reading my mind?
Yeah, well, she shouldn't have gone to
I've behind the scenes, by the way, I deeply profusely apologize for this nagging cough, which will ruin the show later on. For the last couple of years, I have campaigned for a pet charity to be among the list as we do our yearly charity thing. So maybe next year will be our year.
Yeah, maybe next year.
I'd be down for that.
We could support all those cats like mine that are struggling, and I had to pay a significant, because we haven't got insured, stupid on us, but I had to pay some monies for x-rays and stuff, which when you're in the vets at like 1,000, you're in the vets at 10 o'clock at night just kind of going like, how much is this cat worth to me? Fine. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You can't.
Yeah, I thought we were at the point where we refused to let a calculus determine questions like that.
How many lives, Admiral? How many lives does it take? Yes.
How many meows
there
does it take before it becomes wrong?
Every pet owner has that debate at some point in their lives, and whether it was more ethical to do. But she's only a year old. She's fine. She's strong. She's okay. She'll recover. She'll bounce back. There's your cat update. Hey, let's talk
on Earth. Catnip turned a bunch of cats into thugs. We can't allow this. Oh, speaking of, yes, my love. Come on.
Oh,
no, we have cat. We have cat.
All right, now we can hit the good stuff.
Okay, strange new furry things. Strange World Season 2 teaser is out. What did you guys in chat as well? Please, what did you think of it? We are going to get a little spoilery because it is literally a teaser trailer. It is a teaser trailer. So maybe mute this for the next 10 minutes if you don't want to be a trailer.
Well, just listen because it's cool.
All that. It is cool.
It's a trailer. Like, come on. Like, so I appreciate them spoiling us on season 2 in this trailer by showing us, yes, Una will be back in multiple episodes.
I mean,
so
you knew it was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I love that they didn't even try. They were like, nah.
And Laan as well. Laan's just like, yeah, I'm here. What about it? Whatever. Because she buggered off at the end of season 1, didn't she?
Trying to think. No, yeah, there are multiple episodes where Laan is there, so yeah, but that's fine. At least they're honest about it.
Yeah.
Maybe they understand that people have like trust issues after Hema.
Well, God, yeah. I mean, whether Carol Kane makes it through the season is a debatable point now. Because are we going to do Defense Against the Dark Arts with all the engineers? How's it going to be?
See, so one of the big challenges of doing a prequel is you already know which characters are going to live. So at this point, I just assume anyone who's not in like later canon shows or whatever is going to die at the end because they have to do something, put someone in danger. So
there's a lot of room for them to live, and I think from other areas, I hate when they go, right, it's the end of the show, everyone has to die. Like, I hate that because
everyone's dying. It's the end of the show.
Yeah. Like, there's no need.
I'll stop doing that.
Yeah, no, never stop. Don't.
No, I won't. Idle's not stopping, and neither will Otto. All
right. Yeah, I don't like it when they kill everyone at end of season just because we're done with these characters. So bye.
So what points out? Yeah, they can't have an unnamed red shirt dying every week. They actually go to the effort of naming their red shirts most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, no, they named them this time. We had Ensign Duke and what was the Cadet Chia pet? I can't remember her name.
Cadet Bubble Tea and
Chia.
Chia Matcha Green.
Yeah.
We're bearing the lead here. This is a great trailer. Oh,
Here it is.
I love the soundtrack, which I've been recently informed is a cover to the Postal Service's "Such Great Heights." If you want to look that up.
Which is a very good track to use in a Star Trek show because it's fucking inspiring name.
Oh yeah, let's go down.
My initial thought is it's geared a little bit more toward women, which is a good thing. And one of the things that I researched, research is a little strong word. Recently, on IMDb, they have ratings broken down by gender and age. And so when I was looking at all the old Trek, it was about 50-50, about the same amount of men and women liked the TNG Berman era stuff. But all of the new Trek shows about 7-8 points higher for women. So women are enjoying new Trek more than, the old, sometimes chauvinistic type Star Trek, which makes sense. And I'm glad to see it continue in that direction.
If you're running like any kind of show, and you realize that, hang on, we've got this market we're not tapping into. Like, we need to make money here. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, it's and it's a very strong thing, especially new Trek does appeal more to female viewers. That's great. That's
well,
fine.
It's also a case of Star Trek has historically had a very strong and outspoken female fan base. That's really well deserved to be. I mean, as I recall, the original letter writing campaign in the '60s was spearheaded by women.
It was indeed, yes. The Star Trek fan club. Yeah.
Yeah. And like a good number of kind of the most influential figures from the show, including Nichelle Nichols.
Actually, the Star Trek letter writing campaign was also funded by Gene Roddenberry because he wanted to get his stuff back on the air. So,
well, yeah, because he wanted money. But
there were some people behind the scenes on that one. But yes, I think the big thing we have to talk about, the big elephant in the room, is the fact that the Klingons. Well, Klingons aren't back. Klingons have been back for a while, but classic Klingons are back, and not just in war form. They are definitely
not even
going.
Classic Klingons, specifically TNG Klingons.
Yes, it's going to be. I think someone mentioned this somewhere else. I want
it's a shame they didn't go back to the blackface. Said no one ever.
yeah, I know, right?
Well, what I want is an augment-induced Klingon, a TNG Klingon, and a Discovery Klingon, all kind of like sitting in a bar. One goes to the bartender and says, "Why the forehead?"
No, you know what will happen? I want them to do this. I want them to have one of the TNG style Klingons to point at a smooth-headed Klingon and say, "You run out into the line of fire and get yourself killed and get vaporized," and then that clearly establishes what the actual because you know that the Klingons look down on those people because Klingons are like that. Klingons are very. For a race that is very focused on,
I'd say they're
honor
classist,
and physical prowess, they care a lot about appearance, actually.
Yeah.
Well, they do have a somewhat loose caste system. And so I could definitely see them exploring the fact that, the smoothies are less than, the rest of us and going with that kind of storyline.
Yeah, because I think, is it in one of the TNG era shows they say they use you don't have the ridges or whatever as an insult, or am I thinking of a different race?
That is, I don't know if it was TNG, but I think they do mock that once or twice.
Isn't it, you don't have the lobes? Isn't that a Ferengi saying?
Oh, that's definitely.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing, but I think was it in relation to Balana because she had the fully formed?
Sounds right.
Maybe.
I think it might have been a thing there. I could definitely see it being a status symbol among Klingons, but they look great. They look really cool.
They do. And the D7, which I'm now bringing up on screen, looks pretty cool as well. Nice a reimagining. It looks like this screenshot in particular looks very Strange New Worlds, which is given its own style to be a bit more pulpy in the world that is focusing less on relativistic space dimensions and going what if we just added more color to things? What if we made things much more
What
flashy?
if we made everything look like a 1960s sci-fi pulp fiction cover?
A little bit, yeah. And I kind of dig that. I like that it's being very stylized, separate from almost kind of starting to bridge that gap into the original series and sort of say this is you could see the transition here, which is what everyone loves, their smooth transitions to go from flashy bridge to basic colors.
Which I realized we didn't actually link the that trailer, so I threw it in chat now if you want to
Go watch. Don't walk. Run.
Mute it and listen to us.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know what I really do appreciate is that for all those people who are like, "Oh, I'm so glad that Strange New Worlds is such a clean cut away from Discovery," Spock is literally sitting down and having drinks with Klingons.
Yeah.
Like that's not a lead into TOS so much as it is a follow on from Discovery and where that left the Klingons off in season 2. So like, I'm really glad that is being carried forward. It's still, guess what, Discovery is still very much canon.
Of course it is.
I am wondering just how much Klingons we're going to get. Are we going to get one episode? Are we going to get a new recurring plot thread? Are we going to get an explanation as to what causes them to go from the "you cool, we're cool, we're cool" at the end of Discovery Season 2 to we're in a Cold War situation in TOS? Because we've got about 7-8 years for things to start going bad. And I'm wondering, are we going to see L'Rell again? Are we going to see some of the development? This could go in a lot of directions, and I'm really interested to see what they do with it.
There's two people a lot of people want to see in, or three people, in fact, that people want to see in Strange New Worlds, because and the three sort of popular characters from Discovery were L'Rell, obviously makes a lot of sense to see her there. Tyler, he was a sort of a much of a fan here, Clem Fandango himself, and Lorca, Prime Lorca is definitely one people are saying, oh, we could see him on Strange New Worlds. So I think like there's always, and I don't think they're going to do any of them. I think they're going to keep it as its own, very much its own thing.
I could see L'Rell.
Yeah, I could see
L'Rell's the one that makes the most sense to me, because she can appear completely orphaned from the other two without any connection, and even if people haven't seen Discovery would be like, okay, cool, Klingon Chancellor, I understand immediately what that means. Like it's not something that has to be explained really.
So a couple of things. First of all, I think they've struck the right balance of serialization and episodic. They've been praised for it by a lot of people I've heard for being episodic, but they of course have the threads, and Benga and his daughter and Una and her upbringing, let's say.
Yes.
So they're doing well with that, and if you expect that to continue, then yeah, we're probably not going to see like an overarching Klingon thing, but they'll probably show up once or twice. To backpedal a little bit, I think Spock, that transition actually does work well with TOS, because you see him early on, like in the cage, he grabs the leaves and he's smiling when he's playing chess.
The cage
he's
is
got that
before
smug
this.
smile on his
The
on
cage
his
is
face.
pre-Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I'm saying it fits
I see.
into, into the
and he's
established
slowly
Spock's-
becoming, he's fluctuating in emotional states in Strange New Worlds.
Right. We see that in season 1, you know, where he's working on pep talks, he's laughing in the
We see it in
shuttle.
TOS as
sometimes
well.
things go so bad you just have to laugh. So
Yeah, but
I
in
think
TOS he has so much more armor on, and you see that in episode 10.
I think, like,
So
well,
I
especially
think
like,
they've
the scene I think of is when he's playing the lute with Uhura, and you see him that little wry smile, and he's playing with her a little bit, and he has the little more back and forths, more vocal sort of back and forths, where he does. Yeah, you're right. He leans more into a serious side, but I think there's still definite plays for motion in there.
Yes, so they've established that already in the first season of TOS, and then as he phases that out, so the natural transition is to show what happened before that made him that way instead of your typical Klingon.
I like the armor. The armor's really cool. That's a nice sort of
Yeah, the
bridge
armor's
between the
cool.
Discovery
I'm sorry,
ones and
I
the.
said Vulcan.
You did. You
meant-
said
Oh.
you
Daniel, thank you for subscribing.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I really like this armor, not just because it's the perfect synthesis of Discovery and TOS, because you've got that kind of like stony aesthetic that is very reminiscent of what L'Rell was wearing. I think of her very samurai white and red armor that she was wearing in Discovery Season 1 specifically. And then that Baldric is pure TOS.
Yeah.
Like,
It's almost like
that
Worf's
might as well be
season
made
one
out of silver lame, you know?
Yeah. The little silver. It's almost like Worf's season 1 Baldric.
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
bit,
Well,
with
which
little
was such a
tassels on it.
reused TOS
Yeah.
prop, yeah.
I wonder if they ever explained what the Baldric is represents. Have they ever said that? Is that just for pinning your honours on?
It has your marks of your house and stuff like that on it. It's a mark of your honours. But not everyone wears one, because I guess it's a case of how much you feel you have to establish your status.
Yeah.
You're
Warner's
also
TOS
to
has
talk about your flair. Gowron, for instance, has 37 pieces of flair.
You're a basic bitch. You don't even wear
How about moving on? How about the small shot we got of Uhura standing in front of a shuttle crash? And for those not aware, in season 1, she mentioned that her parents died in a shuttle crash. Now, I like this is coming back up. I like we're getting more Uhura backstory. This is definitely something that was needed, because she's not in TOS and even the movie, she wasn't much a developed character other than
No, she didn't.
from her.
She didn't have her first name until 2009.
No, yeah, and that was from a book.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think go on.
So people are speculating that we're going to get some kind of either alternate reality thing or timeline thing or some kind of traumatic event reliving, because we see this and we also see a destroyed, possibly Constitution class ship.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, maybe there's someone's playing around with time, maybe it's traumatic events, and it's like, I'm a sucker for that kind of story thread. I like the idea of like leaning on other people to get through your trauma and having to expose those parts of yourself that are vulnerable to others in order to grow. I like that as a plot thread. It's very Star Trek. I had to point out that there was some criticism of the Uhura backstory because it was very much everyone has a tragic backstory thing. I don't necessarily think that's untrue, but I also think it's a case of Starfleet does attract people who tend to have, less happy family lives, who are running away from things at times, because guess what? There's no greater escape than Starfleet. You can just run off into it and do whatever you want. So I think it makes sense for her, but I'm very interested to see what direction they go with it and what that spurs her to grow from. Like, is it a case of growing? Is she going to be dealing with Tema's death and revisiting this old pain that she was reminded of that? Is that the thematic link? There's a lot of places they could go with it, and I trust them to think of something interesting.
Wait. Biggs mentioned in chat, I need my pain, and they teased Cybok at the end of last season. What if this could be a Cybok-induced, and then they could then they're going to come at something, Alex Kurtzman's going to come on at the end of the season and go, we just decided we'd make the Final Frontier non-canon, so we're doing this with Cybok now. And I'd be all for that.
I wouldn't.
Fuck off. All right, and my turn to gatekeep. It is a movie on equal with Wrath of Khan. They were both movies from the original series cast.
You are correct in that assumption. They are both movies with the original series cast. I'll give you that one. Okay.
By that definition, does that make that Futurama episode also a movie?
and Family Guy is a TNG episode.
Oh boy. We also get a spot of Sam Kirk at the bar, so everyone's favourite Kirk is back.
I love that stupid little man. He's so useless. I love him.
He's great. Everyone loves Sam Kirk.
He's like, they're like, what if we had a Wesley Crusher who never stayed the ship and wasn't super annoying? And they're like,
and is usually completely useless but charming.
Well, yeah, that's Wes.
It's
because he doesn't always save the ship.
It's appropriate we're talking about Galaxy Quest later, because I think you mentioned this, stars. It is Guy Fleegman. Like it is
Guy Fleegman.
It was almost Sam Rockwell casted.
Is there air? You don't know.
You don't know. Maybe you're the plucky comic relief, Sam.
So we also see two figures in EV suits running around a broken Constitution. I was right the first time. Constitution class, which I think is later revealed to be Spock and Chapel. Whether that's the Enterprise, and could be an alternate reality kind of thing, like you said, or it's another Constitution.
So,
well, guess what? A lot of those Constitution classes get blown to bits in TOS, so this would just be continuing that theme.
Chad is asking if Sam Kirk is related to Kirk. He's his brother, who we see in the original series, where they use Shatner as Sam's body double, I guess.
They put a mustache
and they have him roll over. It's Kirk with a little mustache, and you only see him from the side, so that for a split second, so you won't think that that's actually just Shatner, but it is.
Yeah, Danielle, he's not his dad. That's dad is George Kirk, who dies. So
he is named for his father, who is George Samuel Kirk, and I believe that he is also named George Samuel Kirk. But I think it's a weird thing where in TOS he says only he calls him Sam, and now everyone calls him Sam. So Jim is just a big fat liar.
How great would it have been if they had the same actor do Jim Kirk and Sam Kirk
in
this, but just with a mustache?
That's up there, but they should have had Sarek play the Romulan commander.
Yes, if that was James Frayne, that would have been chef's kiss. But the guys that do their job, they do them absolutely fantastic.
They got great people. Guess what? These are actually great actors. It's just one of those things where it's one of those things where it's fun to point and go, you could have done, but you good choices.
Okay, what else we got on our image spinner? Yes, this one I wanted to bring up. A picture of a deserted planet with a very tiny thing in the middle that looks like a Guardian of Forever. Now, this is what might also point to alternate universes or maybe alternate timelines theory of things happening in vision form. But does this break canon a little bit? Because I believe, forgive my memory, when they found the Guardian of Forever, they were already aware of it.
They were acting like they'd never seen it before.
They were acting like they'd never seen it before. Okay, that's interesting.
Because I believe they home in on like some kind of weird gravimetric distortion or whatever, and they beam down, and the Guardian gives them his spiel like, I am the Guardian of Forever. Yeah.
Will we see Carl again?
So,
Hope so.
I wouldn't mind. I like Carl a lot.
My thought on this, and it might be a little bit picky, but somehow I'm very adamant about this. When you have little references or whatever that they bring back, Guardian of Forever and Disco, Sicarians and Picard, like weird-ass pulls that you wouldn't think of. The first time they do it, bring it back, and they usually do it well, it's so cool. It's like, oh, they pulled that little thing that only the nerds remember. When you keep doing it, it immediately becomes something. It's like, all right, okay, do something else now. It's like, it was cool that you brought it back. Now you're just trying to make it a thing. You can't make it a thing.
I'd be interested to see
I don't think I want the Guardian of Forever to be. I want it to be maybe something similar, or
the
big
Guardian
actually,
of just a few moments. The Guardian of a fortnight.
Guardian of yesterday and a bit.
The caretaker of the 3 weekly meeting.
What brings up an interesting idea that just because it's there doesn't mean the crew are too. Unfortunately, we do actually see a shot of, I believe, Pike, Spock, and Lon with a very similar backdrop in that trailer.
We also see see a shot of Rigel 7 as well, which has a similar kind of planet. So whether it's all connected, God knows. It'd be interesting to find out.
They're going back to the TOS era of all the sets are the same, so they're actually on 8 different planets.
Just show me Vasquez Rocks over there.
I wouldn't hate it if they actually went to the Guardian of Forever, and then they fuck it up, because they always do. Every time they even look at it, you look at it and it goes wrong. And then they just go, fuck this, and then they just unwrite the entire episode, like they did with that one episode of Voyager.
And that's very possible, yeah. It does feel a bit cheap to do that, because you're seeing something in right. This breaks canon and precedent.
The way you get away with that is you make one person remember.
Yeah.
And then they deal with that knowledge. I wouldn't mind that.
Here we land. Walt says, is this the Lower Decks crossover part of Strange New Worlds? It could be. There could be how Mariner and Boimler get through.
Yes, I believe it is part of the Strange New World season. They haven't shown us anything of that.
Which is really interesting.
It would be one... Can you imagine if we had seen, just for a brief second, just a bit of purple hair? Can you imagine?
I can't wait for that. I'm so excited to see Tawny Newsome and Jack Quaid in the flesh as their characters, because they are very much alike the animated counterparts.
Wait, so how's this? Because I've only heard very brief things about how's this supposed to work? Are they actually having real actors do it, or are they having the animated?
Okay. No, Tawny Newsome and Jack Quaid have been on set.
Has gone on record. Yeah, Anson Mount has gone on record saying that he has been animated for a Lower Decks section, so we're going to see the Strange New Worlds crew in the Lower Decks animation style.
But I mean, they're not going to have the two different styles on screen.
No.
You don't know.
No. It's going to be one or the other. I imagine we're probably going to get some transition between the two, and you're going to see Boimler and Mariner in live action. You're going to see Pike, but not at the same time.
I think I could handle the first, but if they try to mix it, it's like, all right, that's stretching a little too far for me.
That'd be too weird. No, they actually got the actors on set to do it, which is awesome. I think that's really cool doing things like that. It's absolutely bizarre.
Tawny Newsome broke everything.
As crossovers go, you would have thought, maybe Lower Decks and Picard or Lower Decks and Prodigy, but like Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, what? Okay, fine. And
because Jonathan, it's fun. Fuck it.
It's because they know at this point they can get away with anything because they're like, we're the golden child already.
And Jonathan Frakes is directing. So if you're sick of Frakes, he's a great director. I love his stuff.
Guess what? Two takes Frakes, he's great. Get him back to do another Star Trek movie. Fucking who cares?
I don't want to accuse you of anything idle, but it feels to me like a massive strong man. Are there people out there actually saying they're sick of Frakes?
No,
everyone I have heard is like, more Frakes.
More Frakes. No, I'm just
the only time what's ever happened was Enterprise. That was the only time everyone was like,
no, because he looked good in the Mako uniform. He was a chef. He was a Mako. He had the NX-1 uniform.
Yeah, but even he didn't want to be there.
No.
Yeah, but I think everyone knew it wasn't his fault, so they didn't don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah. Well, it's also Jonathan Frakes is just one of the nicest individuals in the world. Like he just seems like he's always smiling and tall and like he's like your dad. Like you wanted to get adopted, or I also wanted to get adopted, but
Let's all chip in.
Don't have so many children.
I haven't got any more screenshots, but there's a few other moments I'd like to talk about. Oh, what's happened here? Oh no, my layouts are all freaky tonight. Everything's broken. How about
that Strange New Worlds trailer is great for tone as well. Like it's just like you want more Strange New Worlds. Guess what? There's more of it, and I'm like, cool, more. Give it to me. And it's only a month away, 2 months away.
Yeah, June 15th. So yeah, not long at all.
It's like ridiculous to me. There is so much Star Trek out there now. It's not quite what they were doing last year, where there was a new episode of Star Trek every
day,
and it was just continuous. Like that was crazy. Where it was like bong bong bong. Every season was just like finishing and then being picked up by the next one. That was incredible. But
Idol.
They're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Our pictures are touching right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, now Stars joined us.
How about this?
And I will make it a threesome.
Yes.
Did you even hear yourself?
Okay.
It's not. It's just a line.
Shut up. Okay. How about the spinning Enterprise with Ortegas doing a sick trick to mine through the asteroid?
Dude, sploosh. I'm sorry.
All right, Pam.
Sploosh.
I do like Ortegas, and both she and the writers have this uncanny ability to come just up to the line of too much and maybe annoying, but they never cross it. So they give her all the funny lines and all the I'm super cool stuff. And on someone else it might not work, but they just pull it off just barely, I think. So I really like her.
So we're going to come back to this idea later on. But I think part of what makes Star Trek in general work, and especially Strange New Worlds and Galaxy Quest, is sincerity. Melissa Navia, who plays Ortegas, seems to be having the time of her goddamn life.
Oh, she loves
playing that character. And that shows, and that earns you so much cred. People will allow you so much more leeway if they can tell you are having a really good time. They'll just go along with you if they can tell you're enjoying yourself. If you take it deathly serious and you treat it as a part, if you're one like Alexander Dane, then guess what? People will only go up to you so far. But if you have that joie de vivre, if people can tell that you're just enjoying being on screen, people will go along with you, and they'll give you a lot more leeway.
Let me throw in another crossover here. She, the actress Melissa, throws in the young Laredo thing, where she actually went off and watched old Trek and practices the hand movements to make sure they all line up with what the ship is doing. So she really is committed to the
You're
craft.
actually not wrong with that, because she actually her and the UX designers of the of all the screens actually was like, right, I want to feel like I'm actually flying the ship. So I want to feel like, and they designed all the interfaces so she'd be, actually touching it and in the right places, so it looks as though she's flying it as if she's, interfacing a real starship, which I think is massive kudos for her and the designers working together, which is a really cool idea. It makes you feel good when behind the scenes and the actors kind of talk to each other, because you realize they care.
They should.
That's
the ideal way of making it do it. Yeah.
We're getting so many between Shuttlepod Show and Delta Flyers and stuff, all these classic Trek actors now are doing podcasts and stuff, talking about the old days. And one of the things they universally pan is how that phrase "word perfect" always comes up. They weren't allowed to change any scripts. They weren't allowed to ad lib. Even one word change would result in a 2-hour conversation with the muckety mucks. So giving them a little more freedom, the people who are actually portraying the characters, is obviously a great idea. And I don't know if that's a greater television change or if it's just mostly in the Trek universe.
It's very much, we're compared to say 20 years ago, we're more of a workplace practices have changed. It's less about sitting in an office these days, although it is for some, is for myself, and more about working together and being equal partners, and so everyone, managers aren't just the person in charge now. Managers are more there for the employees as they work for. It's not everywhere, but especially in TV has changed to a point where it's now equal to movies in quality, and they respect that. And seeing actors coming up and being rising stars, they realize the idea of an integrated program is better in the long run. Better for profits. We'll do it for profits. The little Ferengi at the top there.
Well, it's also a case of we've talked previously about the change from the 26 episode structure to the 10
Yeah.
or 13. Or
That's
whatever
another
you go
part of
with.
it as well. Yeah.
And it's a case of, guess what? If you only have 10 or 13 episodes, you fucking make the most out of your actors. You do not treat them like shit.
No.
You do not, like be an asshole to them. Because also with the whole Me Too movement and various like other things that make the filmmaking and television process a lot more transparent, people will tell you, yeah, I didn't get a lot of like freedom to do anything on this, and guess what? That doesn't reflect too great on you as a producer, as a manager of talent. People won't want to work with you. But if everyone comes off of Strange New Worlds and says, yeah, no, Alex Kurtzman's great, I loved working with him, he really encouraged all my acting choices, you go, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. And that's how you encourage people to get a jump into it, Yeah. But it is also a case, I think people have kind of I think acting is maybe a bit more respected than it was back in the 90s, especially in terms of television acting. Television acting is a lot more prestigious now, thanks to the HBO and the Game of Thrones, and it's like, that's, people talk a lot more about TV than they used to about movies nowadays. Like, people talk about movies for like a week after they're released. People will talk about TV shows for multiple weeks, especially if you do your staggered releases.
So chat reminds me of Picard season 3 reference. Not really a spoiler. Gates and Shaw's actor were on Shuttlepod, and they
Todd
both
Stashwick, yes.
Right, Todd Stashwick, huge D&D nerd, by the way. We're getting back into Star Trek Adventures, so that's going to be fun. But they both said...
We've rolled up like 15 characters already.
Gates said she wasn't interested if they were going to treat her the same way TNG did, which is, shunt the woman aside and don't take advice. And Todd said something similar while filming to what we've been talking about, where, get the take we wrote on tape, but after that, if you have an idea, bring it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes they end up using the actor's take instead and can sort of changing the script there. So that's always it's fun to see, I think.
A lot of people have said like Kurtzman's so approachable. Like, I think Mike Mahan's gone on record to say like he was offered to go and pitch it by some other people, and he walked in and he said, yeah, I just had the nicest conversation. He said, yeah, other people have pitched stuff, and he's like, he rejected some stuff, he accepted some stuff, like his and the Prodigy stuff, and he said, yeah, he's respectable, wanted the productions to work, and is not a no person, which is a great attitude from a producer.
And the actors are saying a lot of this is Terry Matalas, who is the same way. So it's nice. It's not just one guy. It seems like the whole team is.
I mean, this, to be fair, this might be a lot of hype. I mean, if Star Trek ever has another recession again, 20 years on, they'll be like, actually, it's come out of the Rick Berman era in the preceding years has been quite horrible. But
it does happen.
To be fair, in this day and age, things are a lot more transparent. I think if someone has a problem on set or anything like that, it tends to come out fairly quick, or if there's any problems.
Well, I think it's also a case of, if you think about how TNG, Voyager, DS9, all three of them had at least one cast member leave due to various issues. So you had Denise Crosby, you had Terry Farrell,
what did they do to Bruce Horak? What happened? No, he's always supposed to.
I think they haven't said what role because they said he was coming back in some way.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
They asked Bruce one too many times how many fingers am I holding up. He's like, "You fuckers, I quit." Come on, that's funny. Fuck you guys. I'm not making fun of
how
them.
many fingers am I holding up? All right. But if you think about all of those, it was always because of contract negotiations going wrong, or lies being told, or being treated like generally shit. I can't think of many instances where someone halfway through a season in New Trek just went, I don't want to be here anymore. Fuck you. I'm gone.
Well,
and maybe that's partly due to contracts.
Did you know that actually Chief Kyle is not coming back for season 2?
Well, that I know a bit more about. So,
oh really? Ooh.
I was curious as to why. And I think it was either Henry Alonso Myers or Akiva Goldsman basically pointed out, he got offered a main role on a vampire show, I believe it was, which has unfortunately since been cancelled.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, so that's good.
One of those instances where you can't blame him for taking the shot because he was offered a main role versus an extra who has like 5 lines an episode. So I understand it, but like it
probably
was
season 3 then.
Kyle,
maybe season 3 we'll see him then. Okay, well at least that's...
Strange New Worlds has had a guy from the vampire show come aboard and a guy leave to go do a vampire show, is what you're saying.
So what we're saying is season 2 will have a space sex vampire episode.
Fantastic. Can we just Some
And the twist is it'll be
warp
Anson
speed
Mount.
uphill.
Anson Mount will be the vampire.
It comes out of a candle.
Oh, no. Yeah, give me that Ronin crossover. Yeah, give me the Ronin prequel. How about one last thing we haven't, well, two last things we haven't addressed about the trailer. One is Carol Kane gets. We knew she was coming in, but she gets a bit.
We only saw like 2 shots of her. They
Yeah.
keep her very on the down low.
Yeah, I wonder what her story is, or and also the classic. We get Spock's famous warp catchphrase: "I would like the ship to go now." What did you think of that?
It's a little over the top.
It is a bit, isn't it?
But I laughed. I can't help it. I would be really worried if this was the season 1 trailer. I'd be like, oh god,
Okay.
you're making Spock do that.
Yeah.
But the gravitas with which they've dealt with Spock's issues and his character and the general way that they're approaching it, it's like if you had told me that in season 1 of Strange New Worlds they would approach Spock's biracial identity through the lens of like a trans individual and through a body swap where he has to learn more about like Vulcan attitudes, it's like I would have been like, what? They actually bothered to go into it in that much depth? So they've bought credibility from me. Like I'm like, cool, I see that. I'm sure it makes sense in context. It's funny. I trust them to stick landing on it.
One thing I don't understand. So I'm rewatching season 1 with my sister. She's seen some Star Trek before, but she hasn't seen any new Treks. This is her introduction.
Yeah.
2 things. First of all, in Elysian Kingdom, Peck's alter ego, the wizard Pollux, is like it's the most muted of all the cast, which I found strange because I didn't know if that was Peck's choice to play it like really, really straight, or if that's supposed to represent his Vulcan half, like not being drawn all the way out. And it was kind of strange because
he's not a very theatrical character as Spock. Here's the thing about Spock. He is a drama queen, right? He will not tell people he's dying of the space horny, and he will bitch with McCoy on the bridge all day. But he doesn't act.
Got any family, Spock? I ain't saying nothing.
Lie.
Spock is Johnny Tight-Lips.
Yeah, no. He will not tell you on pain of death. So I don't think theatricality is really in his wheelhouse. Whereas
that's what I was thinking, because he does do some humorous moments, but they, compared to everyone else, they're really quite muted. So
yeah,
that's not to say that he doesn't do a fantastic Spock and all the subtle humor there he's very good at. But anyway, that just came up. The other part is my sisters, we watched through all those lines that I want the ship to go now, that are borderline, some of us are like, oh, it's too cheesy. She dies every single time. And it's like, okay, if it takes that to bring in new people, it's not like we're destroying the canon and everything that's precious about. So we're just making some jokes that are a little bit cheesy. And if that brings in people that are busting the gut, then I say go for it. So
yeah. And not to mention, for everyone that we're like, oh, that's a little bit cheesy, we get some great shit like Hammer's Abracadabra and, all the stuff with Armand Roth.
That was so good. That was so good.
Yeah, no, it's like for every cheesy, stupid joke, there's some really elegant, really good humor. So, I think, and like you say, that's a really good trade-off to make. I'm happy when Star Trek doesn't take itself too seriously.
Man, I miss Hammer. Like that, at least in Kingdom of Behold the power of science. Like that just sold me on. And then, yeah. I know. So yeah, season 2 trailer. Good news for everyone that hasn't watched season 1. By the way, we've spoiled you on a few things. Never mind. Pluto TV, the free TV service that is advertising supported, but you can go to Pluto TV and watch stuff, will be streaming. They have a Star Trek channel, by the way. Will be streaming all of Strange New Worlds season 1, which I think is absolutely amazing, considering the Blu-ray is now out, as well as the soundtrack as well. If you haven't seen, go see that. Considering the Blu-ray is just out, and they're saying you can go watch it for free on here. I think this is definitely a good move from Paramount to drum up hype.
Oh, absolutely. So I need to go and grab that Blu-ray because there is a gag reel. I fucking love gag reels. And there are deleted scenes, including a 6-minute scene between a young Lieutenant Pike and the woman from episode 6, the one he had a little fling with.
Oh,
a whole
really?
6-minute scene.
Wow.
But when he was younger, and I'm like, that's a lot to have cut out.
Jeez.
That's a lot of material, so I kind of want to go and see that. And also, I have to read out all of the track names for the Strange New World soundtrack.
Shout out
because
to...
for those of you who are not familiar...
Yes, go on.
Yeah, shout out to what's her name?
Nami Melamad.
Nami Melamad, yes.
Yeah.
I think she's a Iranian composer, I think. She is a protege of Michael Giacchino, who is well known for putting tons of puns in his soundtrack work.
And he scored the Kelvinverse films.
Yes, and he's also worked a little bit on Prodigy as well. So, we have obviously the main title theme. We have Everybody Wants a Piece of the Pike. We have to put it to Pring on it, which is one of our jokes. Eyes on the Enterprise.
We did, didn't we? Yes, forgot about that.
Home is where the helm is. Space Cadet. Comet Away with Me. Romancing the Comet. Meet and Greet, which I think might be my favorite one.
That's good.
We've got Since I First Saw the Stars. I think that is probably a more standard one. Holding Pattern. Gone with the Wind. The Pike Maneuver. Gone but not forgotten. Are you a Vulcan or a Volcant? Spock Too Soon. Crisscrossed, as in Chris Pike. Looking for Ascension in All the Wrong Places. Ascent Eel Questions, as in Essential. To Bring It On. Pirates in the Sky. Will You Be My Vulcantine? Won't You Be My Pirate? You're My Mercury Stone, which is a bit more serious. Don't Leave in Uhuri. When the Hammer Falls.
That's so good.
No One's Ever Neutral About Spaghetti, which I think might be my favorite. And Throw Plasma from the Train. These are wonderful titles. I love it when people have fun with these.
Shout out to our friend Julian from the Strange New podcast. He actually got to name 2 of those tracks. He got to name Home is Where the Helm Is. Yeah, and Looking for the Ascension in All the Wrong Places. I believe they had an interview with Nami Melamad, and she offered them some time. So shout out to Julian for that one. Great. That soundtrack and the Picard season 3 soundtrack are now out as well. You can go and listen to them on if you're on any kind of streaming service, or you can buy them on CD if you wish to do that way. How about now? Go on. Sorry, Otto.
A couple more things about this. I mentioned it before, but one of the so we're in an era where we're getting overloaded with nostalgia. Between prequels or the TNG sequel and all that stuff, some people find it a little bit too garish. Some love it, whatever. The one thing I think they do well, and I've mentioned it before, is all the little stings they do when they have people on screen from other series. They play a few notes of their theme, and the stuff from Strange New Worlds. It feels like they're pulling from a bunch of different movies and stuff. The one that sticks in my head that's so good, that little. It's from the Undiscovered Country when Chang is cloaked and hunting them, and you da 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 da. It's They put that in a couple episodes of Strange New Worlds. I think it's actually when the Gorn are hunting them.
Oh, in the submarine.
And you hear that, and you're like, it instantly. If you're a veteran of Trek and you've watched all this stuff, it instantly conveys a certain mood, which I think is very smart. So.
Oh yeah, and then they do such a wonderful update of the classical themes as well, because you get obviously the wonderful fight music, which is, I believe, the "Are You a Vulcan or a Vulcan?"
The Amok Time.
Yeah, and the Romulan theme, which is not on the soundtrack, which I'm so sad about, because I love that Romulan theme. It's so big and boisterous and 60s like villainous, and it's not on the soundtrack. I'm hoping they do a volume 2, which has a load of other cues that I didn't make it, but. Man, I'm just glad we live in a time where people are releasing proper soundtracks again. They did it a little while ago, all the Doctor Who soundtracks I used to listen to religiously when they were done by Murray Gold, and they kind of stopped releasing them. And guess what? More movie soundtracks and more TV show soundtracks. Give them the recognition they deserve.
Nami Melamad, who also scores Star Trek Prodigy, I think she's released 4 soundtracks for Prodigy. So I'd imagine you will probably see a Stranger World season 2. So
her work on Prodigy is so beautiful.
It's very good. Okay.
One more thing about the trailer. I know you're trying to move on, but we have already talked about several times. We see some Kirk in it.
Oh yes, and then I forgot that bit.
We see him in one of those good old time travel to the 90s, contemporary 2000s type episodes where he's stuck in a revolving door. So
I'm from space.
What do we think of that?
I'm I'm hot.
It's very Kirk.
It's very Kirk.
That's
I like. Yeah, if he, because I complained last season that Kirk didn't feel like Kirk, and that's, you know, the way that Pine did feel like Kirk, the way that Paul Wesley didn't, I felt was something we had a good discussion about in our series. But in this instant, I don't know why, it's just a line. It was just a way he's acting. He feels a little more Kirkish, and I can't, it's one of those things I can't quantify. You can't quantify when you see something like, oh yeah, that's a good thing for that, or that's for this, that makes that. It's just something I'll look at and go, yeah, he's possessing this character the right way. And I feel like I got that from that one brief scene being trapped in a rotating door,
that,
of all
and
things.
then there's that bit with Una and Lon in the transporter room, and he has this look on his face, and and I'm like, you know, he is kind of giving her that kind of Kirk look. It's not quite as overt as Shatner would have played it, but there is that bit of that Kirkishness to him. And I'm like, okay, I'm warming to him.
She
I like that they're
my
not
name is
treating-
Helen Noel. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not
God.
it's not like Noonian Singh.
You
It's
have
like,
an obsession, dude.
what
You do,
no,
actually.
but what is right? I mentioned
He
this
loves
before.
women with Christmas-themed surnames. Don't sound like Christmas Jones.
I do love The World Is Not Enough, I tell you that.
Oh, God.
I forgot what I was going to say there. Yeah, okay, so what is a little bit of a contentious issue here that Kirk would possibly have a maybe romantic encounter with Khan Noonien Singh's great granddaughter, is like, would he not turn up and go, oh, you've got the same surname as Laan, who I met once, like, same family?
Dude, do you really think Kirk remembers the names of all the women he's slept with? Come on.
He's
Okay,
a nerd.
okay,
Yes,
hang
he
on.
does. He's got a little book. He remembers
Idol.
everyone.
Idol. If you walked into a Sainsbury's, you know, which for context is a local
I
supermarket,
would never walk into a Sainsbury's.
and you were
It's too
served by
expensive.
someone who had a name tag that said that their name was Oliver Cromwell, would you be like, "Oh, you're related to"? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like,
Yeah,
"This
but
is
it's
the
not
fucking
like we're
name."
talking about the Smiths or like the Noonian Sings from upstate New York. Oh, yes, a different part of the family, darling. Like,
Except for
it's
the
a
fact
name
that in
of
Star
a
Trek,
surname.
everyone is named that. There are billions of Noonian Sings because of of Roddenberry.
Well,
It's,
yeah.
it's probably up there with Smith and
Okay,
like
all right.
Jones as one of those common names.
It's like, any relation to the mass murder and genocidal maniac? No.
But also, like, if you're trying to get her in bed, that's not something you must. Agent Danielle asked, do you think we might see a time travel episode in Strange New Worlds or someplace else to the 90s or noughties? So, the way that Trek has always done it is it's contemporaneous.
Yeah.
It's always... In the 60s, they traveled back to the 60s. In Voyage Home, they went back to 1986 because that was the year the movie came out. When they did Future's End and Voyager, they went back to 1996 because that was the year. And it looks very much like they are going back to 2023 or 2022 Toronto. So very much the modern day. Modern day. They don't seem to have much of an interest in doing outright period pieces unless you're fighting Nazis, in which case all bets are off.
Or gangsters.
Yes. That's
And you have a set nearby that's conveniently set from another film and you can just walk on.
yeah.
Hey, Picard season 2 spoiler, but they go back to 2024 in that. How sweet would it be if there's just like a scene in Strange New Worlds and you see Patrick Stewart walking behind them in like his Picard in his Picard season 2 uniform, and they never acknowledge it? How sweet would that be?
I would genuinely really love that.
That would be
That'd great.
hilarious. Oh my god, yeah, that's the crossover you wouldn't expect. Mate, that could be interesting.
Well, I mean, they're 1 year apart, so you never know. Okay, this is the only thing about the trailer I don't like. The time travel episodes never land for me. I know you said Voyage Home. That's a movie. It's a little different. They're too much for me. And I don't want to see Kirk. No. I love Strange New Worlds. Like, I would get a tattoo that says, I love Strange New Worlds. They handle everything great. I want more of that. And that's not to say I don't trust them to handle Kirk well. That's not the issue.
You think it's unnecessary?
It's unnecessary. I want to see all these other characters that haven't had 100 episodes and 60 years and a bunch of movies made about them. All these characters who you've already made us love in just a few short episodes. Give us more of that. Please don't dedicate more time to Kirk, even if you do it well.
Now, I don't necessarily disagree, because Kirk is one of those characters who we've seen so much of. He is the centerpiece of TOS and the movies and the '09 movies. He is we know so much about Kirk in his life. But I don't mind if it means that we get to see Spock and Kirk be extra gay for each other, because they're gonna look at each other. They're gonna lock eyes in a hallway, and you're gonna. And I want to see them meet. And guess what? I don't count the '09 movie because that version was sucked. The '09 version of their meeting kind of sucked. Yeah. I didn't love it.
James parted from me and never parted.
You say that as if Spock never said that. Jim, be careful. We will.
Yeah.
How do you interpret that any other way?
That's just him throwing shade on Bones, like, there's no doubt. I kind of agree as well, like, because it stems back to before season 1 started, and they went, oh, Kirk is here, and we were like, oh man, just a way to kind of depress us before, trying to think like you're not even focused on the cast, you're just going to pull in a bit of nostalgia, but they worked it fairly okay. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I would be happy if Kirk's in just the one episode, maybe he meets up with Sam and Spock, and they do their time travel thing with La'an, and then goes, oh, I'm off to the Farragut or whatever, or I'd be happy with that. I got a feeling they won't.
It would be one thing if they were treading old ground, but every time they've used Kirk in Treaty World so far, it's been to show us a part of him that kind of didn't.
They were literally treading old ground. They were remaking the Balance of Terror,
except for the fact that they were showing us why Kirk was the right commander in that instance, and using him as a lens through which
I do agree. I was just being pedantic. I was just being picky.
Oh yeah, I know you are. Because everyone loves a pedant.
Someone in chat screaming it. I have to do it for them. The voice of the people.
And it's like, so long as I am gaining insight into this character, I don't mind, because it's like, Paul Wesley seems like a perfectly good actor. He did a okay version of Kirk in season 1, and so long as you are using that character well to examine the other characters, and you're not just turning it into we love Kirk, Kirk is the best, I think they're very aware of turning it away from self-referential. That's kind of why I liked the revolving door joke. Because it means that you aren't treating these characters as referential figures that you can't touch and make fun of. It's like, no. Kirk got stuck in a revolving door. Guess what? Everyone gets stuck in a revolving door at some point. It just makes them human.
You only have 10 episodes a season. Every scene that you put in with Kirk is one fewer Uhura scene. It's one fewer Ortega scene. And those characters definitely need it more than a Kirk ever will.
Except unless you have Kirk featuring in an Ortega scene and we're using Kirk to examine Ortegas.
Examine her. Okay.
I don't know. Ortega strikes me as incredibly lesbian, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I think that was confirmed she was bisexual. That was confirmed in the last season.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Because she mentioned an offhand line that she had a date with a woman, then she said, oh, this.
You're thinking of Chapel. You're thinking of Chapel.
Oh, no, it's Chapel. No, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
no, my bad. My bad.
By the way, at the end of that episode where Chapel's talking about Spock, she says something about the right man, and there's like a pause. And I'm like, and then you're going to say, or the right woman, right? Because they're talking to Ortegas. So,
man.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that relationship. I wouldn't mind Chapel and Ortegas.
Not Kirk. He's had enough on-screen relationships. Thank you very much.
Only Spock for him.
Oh boy. Okay, let's move on.
That's the real threat to his and to Free's marriage.
Yeah,
Chapel.
Walton Chad has a point. He'd appreciate the challenge. How many non-emotional robots did he make fall in love with him over 3 seasons of TOS? So.
I mean, that's half of Austin Powers' inspiration as well as James Bond. There's a little bit of William Shatner's Kirk in Austin Powers as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, how about something that was rumoured for a long time, was confirmed but never fully confirmed? The Section 31 film has been commissioned by Paramount Plus, and a film, not a series now, it's been changed, with Michelle Yeoh, Oscar award-winning Michelle Yeoh, no less, returning in the role of Jojo. I personally, I am the biggest skeptic of this, and people have shouted me down for this, but I am still not convinced it's going to happen until I see someone on a set filming it. Like, all Paramount have kind of done is move the goalposts from, oh yeah, we're going to do a Section 31 series with Giorgio to, oh yeah, we're going to do a Section 31 film with Giorgio, and here's a poster. Like,
Idle.
Hello.
If they aren't sure that it's going to happen, why would they keep talking about it?
I don't know. I think it's a trademark thing, or it's. I think it might even be a hype
trademark thing.
Or no,
That's not how intellectual property works.
Or even a hype thing with Michelle Yeoh's like she's still interested. We've still got her. Look, she won all these awards. Look, isn't this cool?
I bet you, Idol. I'm going to bet you. I bet you if you walked up to Michelle Yeoh on the red carpet at some movie that she's doing, and you asked her, "How much fun do you have playing?"
Oh God, no! Of course she does. Yeah.
Like,
not
guess
denying
what? That's what it actually comes down to.
Yeah.
What becoming an Oscar winner means is that you get the freedom to choose a lot more roles. People come to you. And guess what? If she wants to play a raving egomaniac,
but she's wanted to play. She's wanted to play it for a long time. It just hasn't happened. Yeah. It's been a long time. We've had Strange New Worlds.
So then, what's the obstacle? Are you saying that Paramount and CBS are somehow the obstacle? They don't want the Oscar winner to be in there?
Of course, I don't think they want to. You know what red
tape's
like.
So then, what's the obstacle here? What's your imagined reason that it won't happen?
Because it hasn't been. Because they've been talking about it for so long, and I'm still unconvinced. That'll happen.
Yeah, no, it's not like Star Trek and Michelle Yeoh have had a massive upswing in stock recently, and they've both been really, really busy. Never that.
Regardless of it happening or not, how do we feel about it shifting from a series to a Paramount Plus film, or essentially a TV movie with film production?
Well, TV movie kind of loses its meaning when the TV shows look as good as movies.
Exactly. That's kind of what I said. There's like blurs the lines these days. I feel it's kind of like the Disney Plus special features, like they did with Werewolf at Night, and there's like this is film quality, but you can't tell the difference these days.
Yeah. Well, the only difference was the running time, really. I'm down for it. I feel like I'm much more down for a Section 31 thing of a 2-hour length rather than a full series, because I feel like it'd be hard to maintain it for a full series because Section 31 does real messed up shit. Like even with the best intentions, they are not the good guys, and that is the intention. Playing with that dichotomy and that conflict and using Giorgio in that respect is a lot more tenable over a 2-hour span than a 10 or 12-hour span. You know. Also, what do you think?
I would have loved to have seen the adventures of Prime Giorgio and see how she would have handled that character. Because I liked what I saw early on. Two things I have no interest in seeing in my Star Trek universe. Section 31 and teenage or college age drama, which we are apparently going to get both of.
That'll be the next topic.
I'm sure I'll see the movie. I might even see it in theaters, but I can't get hyped for it. it's not a subject matter.
I think it'll be a Paramount Plus release, but yeah.
Hey, in the golden age of Trek, when we have 18,000 different stories and series going on, it's fine that I don't like everything. But personally, there's a billion shows out there that do political intrigue, and I bet most of them, or half of them, are going to do it as well or better than this.
So I think
you're probably not wrong.
Yeah. No, I think like I also think like Section 31 has been misused a little bit, because when they came back in season 2 of Discovery. Was it season 2? Yeah, season 2.
It was season 2.
Yeah, and it's kind of a bit like, oh yeah, everyone knows about Section 31. I'm like, you've already missed the point. Like, they were supposed to be the big unknown. Like, the reason to love them I loved Section 31 in DS9 because it's, well, in fact, it's Sloan, and Sloan's actor, I forget his name now, is awesome. And they kind of portray that very shady underworld part of the Federation without being too overt, which is a very cool thing. But in season 2 of Discovery, they kind of, which I do love season 2 of Discovery, is a really good season, but I don't like the Section 31 side of it, where they just make them like, oh, we have all these starships and they've got all these abilities.
I have less of a problem with it because it is a really good cover. Because that means you can, when someone in 100 years says, this is a Section 31 operation, isn't it? You can literally point at, dude, Section 31 has been dead for 200 years. And you can go, yeah, but it's still Section 31, is it? And then it becomes the ultimate gaslight. You know, that's why I was fine with it in season 2. I don't think it was necessarily essential to the plot in season 2. I don't think it was.
I think they could have got away with Starfleet intelligence Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, would have been fine. Well, yeah, no one ever wants to talk about Starfleet intelligence. It's always
They
Section
don't.
31.
They're there. They're doing all the same jobs, but they're more overt or still covert. Like, it's like the Tal Shiar and the Zhat Vash. It's like, oh, we've got an
Oh, no, that is different.
We've got a secret service. Now we've got an even secreter service.
No, the Zhat Vash are a cult. The Tal Shiar actually do shit.
I can't wait for the even secreter service.
What does that mean where they're sitting in the chapel and someone's sitting behind them in the pew with the gun,
Yes.
and then the guy up in the there with the sniper rifle? Yeah.
But that being said, I will watch Michelle Yeoh in anything. So
Absolutely.
Star Trek or not. So like you know, everything everywhere.
You might even
Guess
say
what?
you would
I'm sure
watch
it wouldn't
her
be the
in
worst.
everything, everywhere,
all at once. I would. Yes, I rewatched that very recently, and that was again, and it's such a good film. But yeah, that is apparently
even if it's
happening.
bad, it'll probably still be better than a lot of like lower end. Like,
Actually,
you know, like
I haven't
shitty
heard
episodes.
who's show running or directing or anything on this, so there's not. I don't think there's that much new. I think it's been out
actually,
there. Yeah, I haven't seen. So we'll have to see. Proof's in the pudding.
We'll see. Yeah.
Maybe there.
I think they said the showrunner is going to be Guy Fleegman.
Do you mean Chief of Security Rock Ingersoll?
Rock Ingersoll.
Hold your horses.
What a
Hold
name.
your horses. Hold your horses. Then. We'll get to it. We'll
Star
get to it.
Trek shit. When do we get to talk about
The
Galaxy?
children
That's
want Galaxy Quest, Idol.
the only reason I'm here, Idol. Come on.
No, you will wait and you will eat your Galaxy Quest when we've finished our dinner. And you will eat all of your dinner. Right, so the other thing you alluded to, Auto, that you were not interested in, and I can understand why. Starfleet Academy series has been commissioned, which I will get the tagline up because it's interesting on two fronts. This is something that's been rumoured for a while. I'm not talking about like the 90s Starfleet Academy rumours. This is something wholly different from that. But this is... Oh gosh, I'm getting blown... Cookie alerts. Here we go. Admission is now open to Starfleet Academy. Explore the galaxy, captain your destiny. For the first time in over a century, our campus will be reopened to admit individuals of a minimum of 16 Earth years, or species equivalent, who dream of exceeding their physical, mental, and spiritual limits, who value friendship, camaraderie, honor and devotion to a cause greater than themselves. The coursework will be rigorous, the instructors among the brightest lights in their respective fields, and those accepted will live and study side by side with the most diverse population of students ever admitted. Today, we encourage all who share our dreams, goals, and values to join a new generation of visionary cadets as they take their first steps towards creating a bright future for us all. Apply today, ex asterisk scientia. This very much reads to me as if this is going to be the 32nd century Discovery follow-on.
It is,
the
yeah,
line of Starfleet Academy's not been open for 100 years. Well, in season 4 of Discovery, they even say like, we've just opened the Academy. So, you know, for the first time in 100 years. So definitely 32nd century. Looks like it's going to be the follow-on for Discovery. And for those interested, this is going to be teen-centric. So this is going to be along the lines of CW series or more aimed at a younger audience. And now we've said this before. So we've had this before with Prodigy. We said like, oh yeah, Prodigy is going to be modeled for kids. It's going to be a kids show. Yet me and you stars both watched it and loved it. So I'm willing to get the benefit of doubt. I've watched my fair share of teen drama. I got big into the CW stuff, and even then I kind of got sick of that after the 16th season of The Flash or whatever it was. So
well, as I said, yesterday, Prodigy is in fact a kids show, and there's nothing wrong
Absolutely.
with enjoying that as an adult. So
there you are.
So I am of the opinion that if you had to pick a time period in Star Trek that we kind of know the least about, it is actually the 32nd century. We can kind of make really, really educated guesses about that part of the 23rd, early 24th century where we don't know what was
The Lost Era.
You can make pretty educated guesses about what that was going on about. You can, we know bits and pieces about the 27th, 29th, whatever. That they don't have any like actual substance to them. We don't know anything actually. But the 32nd century, we know broad strokes. We know 3 pages of a galactic history textbook. And if I think of ways to examine what the universe looks like in the 32nd century, I can't think of a better way to do that than a load of skeptical or inspired teenagers coming from every single planet in the universe under one roof and probably annoying the shit out of each other in the name of Starfleet. Guess what? You will learn a lot about what these races are up to and what they're like now than you would arguably would if you were going to do a standardized Star Trek show in the 32nd century.
So this series is show run by it's Alice Kurtzman, but also the real showrunner is actually Noga Landau, who was I'm just looking her up now. It was instrumental in the recent Nancy Drew revival. The 2019 to, I think it's just finished, Nancy Drew series, which kind of got some average reviews, got very good. But I think if we look at the very style they might be going for, and I think this kind of follows on the lines of Riverdale and the Sabrina kind of things.
I hope it's not as insane as Riverdale.
No, Riverdale. I never watched any Riverdale, but I did hear how mad it was. She was also a story editor on The Magicians as well, which I've heard is quite fairly well rated. I believe. Yeah,
that's Freights and.
Oh, was it?
Rebecca Romaine, I believe.
Oh, is it really interesting? So there's your link. That's how they got in. So,
so I have to point out that for people who are like, that's not a very impressive, a resume. I would like to point out that Henry Alonso Myers, who you might know as the beloved showrunner of Strange New Worlds, was before Strange New Worlds known best for Ugly Betty.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
Well, hold on. We're not going to throw shade at Ugly Betty. That's not.
Oh, yeah, no, Ugly Betty's a great show.
Never watched
it,
but
like, consulting producer on frickin' on Chuck, and like, guess what? Chuck's a great show also.
Chuck's brilliant.
These are not the credentials you would assume make for a great Star Trek showrunner.
And yet,
yeah. And you don't want to piss off the Chuck fans. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you get the Baldwins after you, and then you're in trouble.
So I know very little about what the show's going to be, but if I had to guess based on literally all of television, they're going to go young and sexy. And I probably can't blame them after Picard brought back a bunch of 75-year-old TNG cast. I can
we lost Auto.
Oh, you got caught by the CBS.
I wasn't saying anything important, don't worry.
Well, no. So I do feel like we have to point out that there is an element of hypocrisy in I'm tired of Star Trek mining nostalgia. I'm tired of these shows always having wall-to-wall legacy characters and maybe 30% new characters. And then you get a show concept that is going to be probably like 90 to 95% original characters. You're probably going to get maybe the Discovery crew will show up as like instructors in the academy. Yeah, cool. We get like one or two maybe, and then you go, oh, I don't like it because it's going to be teen centric.
I think that's kind of. I almost want to say it's a valid complaint. Like almost like certain people like certain genres of television. I can appeal auto sensibilities. You look at something like a Starfleet Academy series, and you automatically turned off like saying like, I don't want to watch something that's centered in teens because you know what it's going to be like. It's going to be, and I have my complaints about Discovery about often sort of going into the well of the power of friendship and things. Sometimes they do overplay that a little bit much for myself. Although I do love the series, but I can imagine this will also delve into those tropes as well. And I think a lot of people that kind of say the argument of I don't want to go with these nostalgia treads kind of just basically want a new next generation for this era, something that they can relate to with new characters that will be as epic as the next generation was. But I don't think we live in that era anymore. A case
of like, how many times can you just go, let's just make a Star Trek show? How many times can you do that before it gets old? Because guess what, that's how you end up with Voyager and Enterprise.
Yeah.
Which are fucking great Star Trek.
Yeah, but they took them a while and they have their problems. And they have problems as well.
Well, every show does. Look, if there's anything new...
But you might as well try something new as well.
If there's anything new Trek, and especially Discovery has taught us, it's that the fan base is not a monolith, especially not compared to how they used to be. I doubt it's the same people saying, I don't want old and young, And maybe it is. Maybe they want something in the middle, but... I personally, like I said, I'm not too interested in this in the teen drama, but I have popped hard, as they say, for the nostalgia of Picard season 3. So
I think this is the beauty of modern Trek, is there is something for everyone. Like this is like if you are that diehard TNG fan, you didn't like any of Discovery or anything like that, you can go to Picard season, get no spoilers, but Picard season 3, and that will absolutely scratch that itch of going like, oh brilliant, this is what I've been missing. And a lot of people have rightfully so been praising Terry Matalas and saying like, we want more of this with the Star Trek Legacy series that they're trying to get, they're trying to pitch at the moment. But there is exactly. And there's also I'll get to that, but
well, I also
show notes have an order.
No,
I would like to point out one thing, right? What is one of the single best episodes of TNG that has possibly the single most iconic Picard speech in it?
The drumhead.
The first duty is to the truth.
Drumhead. Villains who twirl their mustaches are easy to spot, Mr. Worf.
The first duty is to the truth.
No,
scientific truth or historical truth or personal truth. The guiding principle on which Starfleet is based. If
you don't
can't
preserve
find it
wear
within
that uniform,
yourself,
Captain.
Moving
from topic to topic.
Song. So, a academy-centered storyline was one of the strongest episodes of TNG. I'm just saying, don't turn your nose up at it just because it's Starfleet Academy. It could have potential.
Look,
open minds.
If it ends up being good, which I'm very doubtful. I mean, good for me. Yeah. I'm very doubtful. If it ends up being good, I will devour the hell out of it. I have with some new Trek. I have with all the classic Trek. So it's up to them to do a great job. If they want to cash in on like a cheesy, sleazy teen drama, then they're probably going to get the reception they deserve.
Oh, dude! If it turns into Riverdale but Star Trek, I will kill myself. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. Have you heard some of the synopses of what Riverdale turns into? It's insane.
No,
I'm convinced they're all on some kind of magic substance. It's incredible.
So one thing I'd like to point out now is, so we've had, in a short space of time, we've had the Strange New World Season 2 teaser. We've had the Section 31 announcement. We've had the Starfleet Academy commissioning series announcement. None of these actually came out on First Contact Day, which was the big Star Trek day that happens once a year. Go on.
Don't forget, we've also had Khan the Musical announced.
And Khan the Musical, yes. We're going to come
starting tomorrow. Get your tickets now.
Absolutely, featuring our very own host, Shireporn, as Captain Kirk. A very good Captain Kirk.
The definitive Captain Kirk. Fuck Paul Wesley and William Shatner.
And if you want to see an interview with Brent Black, the director of the series, you can see that on our YouTube channel, because he was very graciously at the last minute came and had a chat on our
He's a great presence and a massive nerd. You should go watch it.
He's really good. He's made me a fan, definitely. But
I'm
anyway,
there as a Wolf Funko Pop.
But yes, yes, but none of these announcements came on First Contact Day, and I don't know whether that was like a contract thing, but you got to think, you've got this day, this and Star Trek Day, which happens later in the year. This and Star Trek Day are kind of the two key points in Star Trek where you can kind of do like Bloomin' tomorrow, May the 4th be with you for Star Wars. Generally drop a load of stuff, don't they? Or they do a huge thing. Nothing from Paramount and CBS. Like absolutely, they are still dropping the ball hard on like announcements, on hype, on merchandise, on trying to create this cohesive Star Trek universe to equal Star Wars and the other major franchises. Like, get someone out on a stage to say, and we've got this, and we've got this, and look at all this hype that we're doing.
I'd like to point out the last time they did that, everyone
was fucking awful as well. Cringe. Yeah, that last.
So maybe they heard your complaints and were like, "Fuck it, we ain't doing it again. We tried once. Fuck you."
They need to do it, but do it well. But because no shade to Tawny Newsome and Paul Tomlinson. I forget his name now. Tomlinson. Yeah. No shade on them. They're brilliant people. That the Pod Directive, which they do for StarTrek.com, is a brilliant podcast. Well worth listening to, and they're great personalities, but they were dropped into the deep end on that production on the Star Trek Day show last year.
Would you say it was awful. Some kind of soggy paella?
Fuck. You never want a soggy paella. You need it dried out just right. But it was possibly one of the worst stage productions I've seen.
It was a deflated pizza of an event.
Oh,
my best
not to belabor it, but I successfully managed to avoid it. What was the big issue or two?
So, as you well know, I have worked in the theatre, darling. So I've basically the whole production was a mess. Like they had Reggie Watson on to do music, and he was playing some. Okay, that's his style, and I don't get it, but he was playing his own kind of stuff, and then they'd suddenly halfway through his set they'd play like the introduction for a theme, and someone walk on. The lighting wasn't great, so when they're showing off like all the merchandise they're showing off, they haven't got a script for it. There's just Paul and Tawny like looking over stuff going, and there's this, so they're not showing anything off. And then they have some stage director that comes out, and I couldn't work out whether they were doing a bit of trying to be really nervous or afraid, or they genuinely were nervous or afraid and didn't want to get dragged out by Paul F. Tompkins. It was really weird.
I did start it, and I only made it about 40 seconds in. I'm like, oh, no, never mind.
I watched the whole thing. I wanted to watch it live with everyone else. I'm kind of glad we didn't, because it was it was embarrassingly bad. And like for a leading, like one of the leading science fiction franchises that is embedded in generational memory, to do something that fucking awful is embarrassing. And like with this, like they don't, someone up there is in charge of marketing or is in charge of organizing events for this series, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know, or they're just kind of going like, oh yeah, we should really do something, shouldn't we? And then and people are just going like, yeah, we've announced this series, like collate it, make it an event, make it something we can go, oh, this show's coming up tomorrow, they're going to drop some announcements, let's get hyped. Sorry.
Yeah, don't take it
how dare they just make good shows?
I mean, that's great, but as a fan,
maybe they poached all the good showrunners to do the series, and there's no one left to run the Star Trek.
I'm still pissed they cancelled fucking Star Trek convention in UK last year as well. Like, so that's another thing. God damn it. So yes,
tell us how you really feel.
Idle is basically Data. I hated it. It disgusts me. More, yes. Please.
I will absolutely hate watch the next one.
I hate this. It is revolting.
So, speaking of things we actually love, Khan the musical is starting tomorrow. If you are in New York, or if you're in the off-Broadway area, I believe, do we have the name of the theatre it's performing at? Please say someone they do.
It's a Players Theatre.
The Players Theatre, New York, yeah. So go there. Our very own, very good friend, fellow co-host, Shyborn Theoroskull.
I thought it was the Mrs. Carmichael Memorial Theatre.
Will be...
we have forsworn her never mind.
And her company, yes. Will be performing Khan the musical featuring Shyborn as Captain Kirk. It sounds like a very cool production. I've heard some of the songs. We've seen some of a little bit of the production. I'm kind of hoping someone could go along. And we did petition Brent Black, didn't we? He's like, can you please film it so we can see our friend do his thing, you know? That's happening.
Can you watch him sing the theme, dude?
Yeah. If you're in the New York area, please go and check us out, and please tell us how it was. I really want to know. I'm very gagging to see it, definitely.
And if Shy fucks up a cue, if he sings off key, just shout professionalism.
Yeah, yeah, professionalism. You may get thrown out, but it will be worth it, and he will giggle.
Idle, you kind of reminded me of a Thermian there. Standing in your presence is the greatest honor we ever could have hoped to achieve in our lifetimes.
We're nearly there. We are nearly there. We are nearly there. Okay. There is a Star Trek Online content. Very briefly. There's a Star Trek content update coming. The return of Admiral Kumarke and the new refresh of the Enterprise F. There will be more stories and another event to play. So keep an eye out for that as well. The Strange New World Season 1 and Picard Season 3 soundtracks are out. You can go and get those on your streaming service of choice. Yes. Something else that's coming out soon, stars that you can talk about. There is going to be a new module for the role-playing series Star Trek Adventures. There is going to be a Lower Decks module coming out. I actually wasn't expecting them to do this. What is actually in this? You've looked into it quite a fair bit.
So going off of my experience of the Discovery campaign guide, it's actually really, really thorough. They give you a ton of options of what's the lore of this specific era? What would your character have lived through? They tend to give you a few new space frames, which is their way of saying new stats for ships. So I imagine there'll be a Cerritos class, frigate of Vancouver, all kinds of other things. We'll get new stat blocks for characters and NPCs. We'll probably end up getting a, I believe you already have actually, a character pack, which gives you an idea of what all the Lower Decks characters would look like if they were statted up in the game, and you can use those sheets as we have done in the past, playing canon characters in various different adventures. There is already a Lower Decks themed adventure that is out that you can play right now, and that I own as well. I'm going to be running that event at some point. I'm looking forward to that. They're just like, Modiphius does a really good job of supporting their products, unless you are Fallout, in which case you get fucking nothing for years. But Star Trek, I go onto that Star Trek page on Modiphius, and there is a new adventure. There is a new set of briefs for running adventures along a different theme. There are new books. There are new sheets. There are updates for everything. It's so well supported. It's just, if you want to jump into it, you don't even go in there. They give you shit for free. for free.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
So yes,
Looking forward to it.
that's coming out soon. That's coming out soon. So if you haven't seen, we've run a few Star Trek Adventures modules. It's been a lot of fun. We've had some good fun with that, and we'll be running another one at some point soon. Hopefully, we won't leave it so long between our episodes, but we will be doing it.
I won't be allowing you to.
So, how about let's spin over to Picard season 3 again? No spoilers, but Terry Matalas has very much gone on record to say, like, if I was to make another series featuring some of the crew from this series, plus maybe some new faces in the or more adventures of the 25th century, they call it Star Trek Legacy. And there has been a fan petition out there, the similar way there was a Strange New Worlds fan petition, and this one in fact has outpaced the Strange New Worlds one, getting more votes. So very much fan demand is up, and there has been a bit of a response from Matalas and from Alex Kurtzman. So, Terry Matalas came on record saying, like, you know, these shows are expensive to make. They currently have 2 shows with Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy, with obviously Discovery ending next year, and that's all pretty much wrapped up. I think Paramount would have to financially justify a third one. I think the way they look at it is that they're well stocked, so unless fans can convince them otherwise, that's certainly the point of view at the moment. And he carries on to say, like, I think Alex Kurtzman has a plan for the Star Trek universe, and I think he has to figure out how all these things play out. I don't think he wants to rush into anything. He's got 2 great live action shows happening right now, Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy, and the Section 31 movie. So, you know, they're pretty well stocked. At the same time, I think there is a demand for this. I would say if the fans should be loud and tell the world what they want, maybe one day we'll be able to do it. The fans are heard, they should keep doing their thing. Kurtzman responded, you know, after Matalas said, you know, we talk all the time. Kurtzman responded and said, you know, anything is possible. We've heard the fans loud and clear. There's obviously more story to tell, so we'll see. He said something very similar when the Strange New Worlds petition was running, if I remember rightly. So,
which means that somewhere at Paramount CBS Star Trek offices, someone has flipped over a whiteboard and it says Star Trek Legacy, and they're already writing scripts. Well, no, not writing scripts right now, actually, because of the Writers Guild of America.
Yes, indeed. Support your Writers Guild if you do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say, after Matalas said that, Kurtzman said, "I've never seen this man before in my life."
Could you imagine that? Yeah, that might fit the bill. But it's interesting to note that, yeah, for one, that the fan petition has surpassed the Strange New Worlds one, which is, it's just, you know, there's been a lot of hype for Picard season 3, and also, you know, that they are listening, they are thinking about. I think we will see. I think we either in a movie form, or because I think they've also come out and said, like, yeah, we're going to do a movie every couple of years. So I think we will see further adventures.
But we will not make Star Trek 4 with the Kelvin cast. Never.
Actually, this is the first time we've run the Trek show where I actually don't have a Star Trek 4 update.
Yeah, every other not time. Happening.
It's the first time.
That was actually not happening.
Maybe it's actually not happening. So yeah, that update isn't there. Shall we have one last little note before we go on to our Galaxy Quest coverage? William Shatner, who is featured heavily in our pre-shows, then has come up with a new idea to make some more money for himself. How do you guys... So let's go back to the wide world of early 2022. How do you guys like NFTs? Would you buy a William Shatner NFT? Oh, Stars is gone.
Yeah, that's how he feels about NFTs.
Oh, can I... hang on. I've shifted my layout.
We're still talking about...
No, it's fuck, Jesus Christ.
I can't think of anything I want about less than William Shatner shilling NFTs. What a fucking asshole.
He says, it's no secret that I have an immense love...
to space, and I saw the vulnerability of the Earth, and I was like, fuck it. Fuck it.
So, it's no secret I have an immense love and passion for the new and unknown, and this collection is a testament to that. Orange Comet, who are the people producing that, creative direction for Infinite Connections, his brand, brings my vision to life, and I'm excited to inspire my fans to explore a growing metaverse in a new way.
I have a love and passion for money, and this allows me to explore my love and passion.
Hang on. This gets it. The first collection, William Shatner, Cosmic Explorer, features a 3D avatar exploring quantum physics, magnetic frequencies, and mathematical theories, as well as various earthly elements accompanying which you know, if we were talking about a documentary, would be fine. Accompanying each NFT is a physical action figure portraying Shatner as Kirk in his command chair. hand signed and inscribed with
Dude,
one of
we're
5
bumping
different
Galaxy
sayings
Quest for this.
by Shatner's. So yeah, for those that don't know, NFTs are a massive scam. You don't even own the thing you get. You basically just get
let's
to point
let's also not talk about the massive environmental cost.
and that as well. And the fact that NFTs are pretty much sunk in cost anyway. The whole crypto thing is basically taking a massive hit at the end of the year and everything's sunk in cost. Like, this is not something you should even look at. And Shatner's kind of shilled NFTs. Like, yeah, he has his pros and his cons. Like, after he went up in the Blue Origin and came back as like, I'm a deep man, and he has his thoughtful insights, he then does shit like this. So I'm sure it's, yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever think about the fact that Voyage Home was made in response to environmental disaster and because Leonard Nimoy was a massive sponsor of Greenpeace, and here William Shatner is shilling NFTs?
Do you ever think about the fact that the Voyage Home was created?
Did you know the second collection? The second collection, William Shatner's Timeless Voyager, features highly detailed 2D art. All right, okay, fine.
Shut the fuck up.
So I'm starting to take it personally, Idle, actually.
Okay.
So Star Trek Timelines, since that is a large part of our viewer base, I actually did bring that up in a survey, within the last year, I guess. Would you be interested if we got in bed with NFTs? And yeah, so
absolutely fucking not. I don't want to pay for something I don't know.
I said
already
mute.
do that.
I
with
said mute,
timelines.
Idle.
Sorry,
I said mute. When you went.
All right. Oh yeah.
no, you gave me the "We're Dead" signal. I was agreeing with you as if I know where the mute button is, Jason.
Thank you, Otto. Thank you.
And on that note, I think it's time for a classic Timelines recap. Oh no, we can't call it anymore. Trek Time recap. This intro might be out of date.
In a world where Latinum is king, 3 men, 1 desire, to share stories that are beyond belief. But what happens when the absurd becomes real? An airlocked in Glatu, appearing in crew quarters, failed voyages, reviving themselves. A behold, with 3 Lucians, seeing Dilemma Part 3 at hour 6. These and other unbelievable stories that you'll only find here on Timelines Talks episode recap.
Okay, that's very dated. I forgot. I haven't watched that since like the last
Were
time.
we
I
ever
showed
that
it.
young?
That's great, though. Yeah, I know, right? We were younger.
I think that's like 3 years old. Wait, actually, yeah, we haven't even been running for 3 years. That's crazy. Yeah, you guys want to talk about Galaxy Quest or something?
Galaxy Quest is fucking sick, man.
That shit's real.
So this is the segment of the show where I don't get extremely irritated at my co-host running over
really?
me every few lines.
Really?
So you now have open season to interrupt me as I relentlessly recap this.
Hey, Auto.
Yes.
Love you.
I love you. All right, you better have your finger on the images ready to go.
I need the toilet, but okay. Hang on.
Well, then you better do it now.
All right, I'll do it now. I'll bring up the first image, and then there you go. There is him.
What the man, the myth, the legend. I bet he'd chill NFTs.
Probably. How much would a Grignac NFT go for?
It depends. Is it when it's just a pile of rocks or when it's actually like destroying the engine room?
Well, they'd sell both. There'd be a foil copy too.
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, a Tawny Madison NFT would probably go for quite a bit. So,
man, you know what? I hadn't ever realized it when I watched that movie as a kid, because I watched it quite a bit as a kid. I never realized just how much of her boobs you can see in this movie. Like, fucking Sigourney Weaver did not, shy away. She was like, that's the character I'm going to show him. You're going to see him, boys. And I'm like, wow, okay. He's going to go for it. Okay.
So actually, we do have some behind-the-scenes trivia afterwards, but this one I will go with. She mentions in the movie her TV Guide interview with 6 paragraphs about her boobs and how they fit into the spacesuit. That actually happened to Jerry Ryan. They had an interview and they kept asking her about
with Denise Crosby and Marina Sirtis.
Probably.
Probably.
Which is why 8 to 9 points better for female respondents for New Trek
Well, what are you talking about? Boobs are totally my wheelhouse. I love those bags of
Mostly
sand.
water.
Okay, let's begin because we're already at like 2 hours. So we open on a vintage episode of Galaxy Quest, and the theme is actually pretty catchy, but the sets are kitsch. The dialogue is stilted. You know, it's like it's a bad TOS. They had just saved the day, but wait. Suddenly the ship is surrounded and is being pelted with a weapons fire. And the captain gives us soon-to-be famous line, "Never give up, never surrender." And then he says, "Activate the Omega-13." And they fade to white, and then we realize actually screening this episode at the Galaxy Quest, the what do they call it, QuestCon, the Galaxy Quest convention.
QuestCon, yeah. And it's like the 12th or 8th, I think. There've been a few of them.
Well, so it has been 18 years since the show aired, they say later on, so...
It was 1982, I believe they say. So I think the movie is actually set 1 year into the future of when it was made, so in the year 2000, I believe.
So they're at the convention. They announce the cast of Galaxy Quest to come on stage, and the crowd goes wild. But backstage, the captain, played by Jason Nesmith, is an hour and a half late, and the rest of the cast is getting a little restless. Alexander, "I played Richard III. 5 curtain calls. I was an actor once, damn it. Now look at me. Look at me." And he's getting upset, you know, because this is his life now. Thank you. They're all grousing, and Jason strolls in like the belle of the ball. He's got his sunglasses on. And they have to convince Alexander tries to run away, escape. He puts his trench coat up, and he's trying to leave out the back. "I won't say that stupid line one more time," he says. Then he's convinced to come out on stage, and he salutes the crowd, and behind him on the screen is a recording of himself saying the same line that he hates.
Oh, you're forgetting how Nesmith manages to get him out there. You forget the line, which is, "The show must go on." And he's like, "Damn you, damn you." Because fucking, like, Alexander is just this big old theater queen, and I love that. It's just, he's so easily manipulated. It always works, Alexander.
So yeah, after Alexander, Jason, of course, he comes out. He has no problem with this "never give up, never surrender" line to pop the crowd, and then they cut his mic shortly afterwards. So in the next scene, they're doing autograph signings. Alexander is so over it. He's like rolling his eyes and like just signing him. And Jason is over there holding court, telling stories with a big crowd around him. And he catches Gwen's eye and heads over to talk to her, played by Sigourney Weaver. And she walks away from him. So he goes to follow her again and is sidelined by some goofy-looking nerds clad in all silver, including Dwight from The Office. They're all in tight silver...
Need your help.
We need your help. They're all in tight silver spacesuits and introduce themselves as the Thermians.
That's
From the Klaatu Nebula, by the way.
The Klaatu Nebula.
That's a great name. Thermians is like that's very TOS.
That is pure
like,
TOS. Yeah, it really is.
So Jason blows him off and continues to chase Gwen. She blows him off like a third time. So he goes to the bathroom, and he's in the stall, and some guys come in. There's like Klingons, guys in Klingon makeup standing there urinating and stuff. Some guys come in and start picking on the nerds. He tears into him. He's not a real actor. That guy Jason's a clown. The other actors hate him. And then they like zoom in on Tim Allen, and they play this real somber music. And for a second, you feel bad for him, even though he's a prick earlier. So he goes back to the autograph table, totally listless, dejected. He's signing his name, perfunctory. Some kids come up to him to ask about a specific episode. I didn't write that down, but it's like these real detailed engineering.
The Quasar dilemma.
Oh, that's
like
yeah.
And so he flips his lid and he shouts at him. He goes, "It's not real. It's all on the set." And he storms off.
Get a life.
Sort of stumbles away. Yeah. So
which actually, do you know what?
scene,
I never realized that the Shatner Get a Life was an SNL skit until very recently. I thought he genuinely did that.
Wow.
I actually didn't know.
That's how much the character has been completed. So I find it really interesting that Nesmith is such an obvious Shatner take, right? Except that Nesmith buys into it way more than I think Shatner ever did. I think Shatner really started to resent Trek, like after
he did for a bit,
the first 3 seasons. I think
that
was the part
Hooker
where he
era.
really resented it. And Nesmith never does, not really. He seems to be until he gets this wake up call in the bathroom.
One of the behind the scenes bit is that scene's actually based on a 1986 convention William Shatner was at, where the same thing happened to him, and they called him out, and he felt a little bit terrible, let's say. Right, where was
it didn't last, did it? Did it, Will?
Well, he'll have a dejected NFT to sell us later on.
I was literally just about to make that joke.
Great minds.
You want an NFT of your joke?
Yes, buy it.
It's a little bit too meta. So in the next scene, Alexander and Gwen are on the phone saying, "Oh, that's not like Jason. You know, he's usually good with the fans." So we cut back to Jason, who's in his giant greenhouse. It's like a big glass house with no walls. And he's watching Galaxy Quest without any pants on, drinking whiskey. And for a minute, he hears the "Never Give Up, Surrender." And all of a sudden, he's heartened.
He's doing the exact cadence. Yeah.
So the next morning, he wakes up passed out on the floor, again, without any pants.
I can't wait, right? I can't wait for 20 years till now when I'm waking up after drinking whiskey and there's just episodes of like Trek Time or Timelines Talks playing at the time. I'm just like, I wake up going, yeah, professionalism.
I will be there to knock on your big glass house, Idol. So the Thermians show up, knocking on the house. Jason stumbles to his feet. The Thermians salute him. It's like so stupid. And so I'm not sure if Tim Allen was actually acting during this hangover scene. He does a really good job of being hungover in this. So he answers the door, and the Thermians tell Jason that their people need his help, and he thinks they're offering him a gig, like to come and record something for him. And this is such a great meta commentary because he can't tell if no one can tell if these are real people or if they're just Star Trek fans are so fucking nerdy that of course they would ask him to come save their planet.
They're so committed to the bit, yeah.
Yeah. So he says, "Well, sure, let me get my pants." And they're all standing behind him. He bends over, and he's mooning them. And Mathazar, the Thermian, goes, "Standing in your presence is the greatest honor we could ever hope to achieve in our lifetimes." I love that scene.
Mathazar is just a gift every time he's on screen. I'm so happy every time I see him.
Enrico Colantoni, who we'll get to later because he actually shaped the entire role. He basically, when he auditioned, they said, "Oh, we're going to do it this way." And then they told all the other actors to do it that way. So in the next scene, they're in a limo. Jason's still hungover. And they're taking him to the ship. He thinks he's going to someone's basement to do a gig.
Yeah. No. You're forgetting one of the greatest lines, though. Like, "I am your requisitions officer. Do you require personnel, weapons? Can I get a Coke?" There's a mechanic. And they have a can of Coke candy. It's like, well, these guys are good.
So they're briefing him on the super serious crisis with the Ceres Dominion. And he gives another line. He goes, "So, listen, I had a late night with Cremorian Fangor beasts, so I'm going to shut my eyes for a bit, but go on. I'm listening to every word you say."
Totally listen to every word you say.
So while he's passed out, the limo gets sucked up, that's blown up into outer space. So Jason wakes up on the Thermian ship. He thinks he's in some fans' elaborate set in their basement. And we cut to see the outside, the big mean Ceres ship, talking about Commander Taggart. So the audience knows that this has now become a real thing. Jason, they go to the bridge. Jason's joking around with them when Ceres calls. He cuts him off. He takes the pop can and says, "Why don't you throw that at him, Tiger?" And tells the Thermians to fire all weapons. And then he walks off the bridge. So the Thermians do that. And then he says, "Okay, you can beam me back." So they beam him back. And this is where he realizes this is serious. He
has his William Shatner moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in reverse, it goes back down to earth.
Yeah.
This is a great... Talk to me about this, Scott. This is a great concept. In execution, the visuals, the whole covered in glue, shot through space thing.
I have to say,
because it's played kind of for laughs, and then it kind of becomes very, very serious.
Galaxy Quest looks good. I say, you wanted to do this a few months back, and I rewatched it, and I hadn't seen it since 98, 99. And I was like, actually, for a 90s film, this looks really good. Like, this is at the dawn
It
of
probably
like
looks
proper
better than
CGI.
the Lost in Space movie that came out at the same period of time.
Yeah, exactly. Like for the dawn of like proper CGI in films, like actually doesn't look that janky. Obviously, there's a few moments, but you know, it holds up.
I'd say it's like actually it has a budget, oddly enough. Yeah.
Along with the Omega-13 scenes we get with the particles floating around, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So
and the actual. So we have to talk. We're going to steal the bit away from you for a moment, Otto, because I actually really like the design for the NSCA protector.
It's pretty good.
It actually holds true to a lot of the Star Trek design principles, in that you have like your long, sleek hull. You've got the long colored stripe along that hull. You've got your big prominent bridge. You've got your warp nacelles that are blue. They're even held away from the ship like a Matt Jeffries design. And it actually looks pretty good in motion. Like if you took the protector and you put it in the background of a scene in Voyager when they're like hanging out at a spaceport, whatever, I'd be like, yeah, that fits perfectly. It's a really good design, actually. It's weird.
It's a kind of a cross between what would become the Orville and sort of like the early Trek concepts like the XCV-330 or things like that, and also Andromeda as well. It reminds me of the ship from that. I forget the name of it now.
That's a good show. I haven't seen that show in forever, man.
Yeah, just ignore Kevin Sorbo and just focus on the sci-fi.
Okay, so he beams back down the planet. At the next scene, we're in an electronics superstore, ribbon cutting with the rest of the cast of Galaxy
High
Quest.
tech value, I think it says on the scene, doesn't it?
And we get just again phenomenal acting. They zoom in on Alexander. He's got to give the line, and he stops and starts like 3 times before he can get it out. By Grabthaw's hammer, what a savings! So they're sitting at a table doing a little autograph signing afterwards. Jason shows up late. He was supposed to be at this gig, by the way, and he tries to convince them that the Thermians, who he keeps calling the termites, are real. And the rest of the cast is angry at him for showing up late, presumably drunk. When the Thermians show up to help them convince him, the rest of the cast storms off. They think he's full of shit. He's late again. They go to the van. They're sitting there with their arms crossed. And who was it? Laredo says, "You don't really think we're talking about a job, do you?" There's a beat. And then they all realize they're F-tier actors who desperately need work. So they get out of the van and they run after him.
Yeah, so this is a nice little bit of detail that goes into this, right? Is that earlier on you were talking about that scene where Gwen and Alex are talking about Jason, about how he never goes off at a fan like that, and you get a shot of where they are both currently living. And Alex looks like he's living in like a decent enough house, like it's cozy, whatever, right? But it's nowhere near as fancy as Nesmith's. And then you get a shot of Gwen, and I assumed that she was just like hanging out in a hotel, and it's like you get a nice little bit of like a character through that, in that you get to see just how much more prominence Jason Nesmith got compared to the other characters, even though they're just as talented as he is. And I like that little detail.
More so.
Yeah, exactly.
So the cast find the Thermian left behind, tell them, yes, we want to go to the ship too. So they beam them up with the same flying through space goop that Jason had earlier. And they land in sequence, and they're like stunned into silence. They're horrified at what they just saw. The Thermians enter the room without their disguises on. So they're actually giant squid people. And they're holding like a literal speculum.
Very Men in Black.
And other tools. Yeah.
Very Men in Black, yeah.
And so they start scanning them. And a cool little behind the scenes thing is Guy flips out. He screams at the top of his lungs. And what's her name? Gwen's actress. Sigourney.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver, yeah.
She didn't realize that he was supposed to yell there. So her reaction is genuine shock. So you can go back and watch that part. That was hilarious. So Jason strolls in. He's already been indoctrinated at this point. He feels great. He's like, all right, time to give them a tour of the ship. And we get, Mathazar, Enrico Colantoni, greeting everyone. young Laredo, how you've grown. And the Thermians behind him go, young Laredo.
I think that's my favorite part of this whole film is Laredo just going from like this child actor on a show, and you just see this like adult who's just desperately clinging to everything he's got on this one sort of hook, but he's still there, even had a uniform sized up for him. Like it's
so much fun.
So they head to the elevator on board the ship. Sorry, not ship, the space dock that they're on. And they go to see the ships. So they go down the elevator. Again, we get another great visual. It's like the outside hero shot.
It's doing the motion picture shot, actually.
yeah.
Of the Protector. So, so we get on the ship. Mathesar continues his tour, talking about Monte Cristo sandwiches.
That cracked me the fuck up.
A good little throwaway line. They basically have recreated everything from Galaxy Quest because it was beamed out into space. They saw that, thought it was real, and redid their entire life to copy them.
Single female lawyer.
Like blood, please.
Oh. I was going to go with single female
Just
lawyer.
like Mother used to make.
So they take them to the barracks where Commander Taggart can be introduced to hundreds of Thermians there to serve him on the ship. And they all salute him in sequence and then bow to him. And we get a great line from Alexander goes, it's like throwing gasoline on a flame.
That's a really good Rickman. Oh my god.
So they head up to the bridge
Potter?
after
Just
that.
say Potter.
Potter.
Yes.
No, that's a Stars thing.
Mr. Potter.
So they head up to the bridge where the Thermians line the walls. They're so excited to finally launch into space. And Laredo's sitting at a station laughing to Guy. He's like, I'm glad I'm not the commander. And Taggart looks at me and goes, take us out. He's like, what? He's like, take us out, ensign.
Could you imagine?
So
imagine if the Enterprise had started with Archer sitting in the chair and looking at Mayweather's going, take us out? He's like, I know what I'm doing. What are you talking about?
You know what? Laredo is more fun than Mayweather ever was.
Oh, absolutely, yes. No
He's
doubt.
an actual character.
So he starts taking the ship out, and it's going well until we start to list to the side of the space dock, and all the characters are like cranking their head, like, no, back the other way. And
guys like behind him, like backseat driving, like you wanna move.
It's like when you're holding a game controller, and you kind of want you want to turn it like that, don't you?
Yeah. So the ship hits the side of the space dock, and I lose my shit this is my favorite scene in the movie, Barda. They hit the side of the space dock, and they're scraping against the side of the thing. All the Thermians are dead serious. Jason's like nervously laughing, and then they barely clear the moorings. You see like little bits of debris scraped off the thing floating in space, and the Thermians erupt into applause because they steered it out of space dock. So in the next scene, they're in the mess hall having lunch with I guess the images on screen right now. They give him everything from. What does they say? We program the replicators to your place of origin or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
So Kirk, a.k.a. Taggart, gets corn-fed Iowa beef.
Yeah, I know.
And Alexander gets, blood ticks they're called?
Klumpek blood ticks, I believe. It's like,
blood ticks.
How are they? It's like just like Mother used to make.
So they give us some plot exposition. They start talking about the powerful and mysterious Omega-13, which is what the bad guy Saris wants. That's why he's after the ship. Mathesar shows the crew a video of Saris torturing the last captain of the NSA Protector. And the rest of the actors freak out, and they try to nope out of there. They run to the, to the transporter room. But Saris has already arrived.
Can I
anything that leaves the ship? Yeah.
Can I ping? Can I re-say? I was going to say retweet, but that's how obsessed with Twitter I am at the moment. Re-say one of Walt's comments, and that Saris absolutely is one of the Xindi. He is the Xindi.
Oh yeah, he's totally Quantum. Yeah, totally.
The other way around. The Xindi
more
is
threatening.
Saris.
I like Saris more than.
Yes, definitely.
So Saris gives him 10 seconds to deliver the Omega-13, and the crew has to improvise a response, So Jason looks at Gwen and gives cut the communication signal, and she nods and goes, Yeah, like the throat cut, like, yeah, we're dead thing. So Jason starts going on about, oh, I've dealt with him before. He's as stupid as he is ugly. Listen, power up all the weapons. We're gonna throw everything we got at him. He's like, all right, Gwen, put me back on with him. She goes, that's what I was trying to tell you. You are on with him. And he does his head
I'm
jerk,
not
and they
as stupid as I am ugly.
That is like a massive trope, isn't it? Like, he's off comms, but not really, or they're off the phone, they're not on mute. You know, that's a huge
Picard
trope.
doesn't know how lucky he was that Worf didn't want to fuck with him.
But this is done well. This is one of the examples of the trope, isn't it?
I gave you the kill comms
Yeah,
signals. Like, no, you gave me the we're dead signal. I was agreeing with you.
as if I have any idea where the mute button is. That's such a good line. So Saris fires all his big weapons
Oh,
at the protector.
Hang on. You're forgetting one of my favorite lines of the entire movie. It's like, give me the Omega-13. And he's like, okay, you know what? You got it. I'll give it to you. You need to give me a minute so I can put it in a box for you. And it's like, kill me fucking stone dead every time.
So Sarah starts firing on them, and they gun it out of there with this turbo boost that they have. And
it does the motion picture like slowdown effect almost.
Yeah. And they end up going
away. Sorry.
They end up going right through a minefield, taking massive amounts of damage. Laredo, the pilot, is screaming. Guy is hiding under a console and crying. And they
Just
barely
like
make
all
it through
your
the
favorite
mine.
Star Trek episodes.
So they barely make it through the minefield. Their like engines are damaged, and they're sending off venting smoke and everything. So they go to the briefing room to get a damage report, and the computer's rattling off all the damaged parts of the ship. And we learn that the computer only listens to Tawny Madison. Because that's the way it was in the historical documents. So she has to repeat all the questions to the computer and all the answers. So yeah, we get two top shelf memes here. One, Alexander, you broke the ship. You broke the bloody ship.
The bloody ship.
And then Laredo gets irritated because Gwen keeps repeating the computer. She goes,
That's
look,
really annoying.
I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm going to do it. Okay? He's like, okay, whatever you want.
Maxed out instantly.
So the Thermians enter the briefing room. Mathazar apologizes for letting the crew down. He goes, what do you mean you let us down? He said, we've seen you in impossible situations before. You know, and they're always triumphant.
That is so good.
So good.
You should do
The
the
actors are
audiobook.
starting... yeah, maybe. The actors start to feel bad, so they try to explain that they're not really space heroes; they're just actors. And Gwen goes, "Don't you have any theater? Surely you don't believe Gilligan's Island is real?" And the Thermians instantly become somber. They're like, "Those poor people."
Do you have anyone on your planet that acts contrary to reality? You mean lies,
deception. We've recently become acquainted with this in our dealings with Saris. By the way, we need to tear this movie at the end because I already know where I'm going.
Oh, yes.
Oh, dude.
So we get a call from Tech Sergeant Chen in engineering.
He is
saying
my
they found a new...
Loki, he is my favorite character of the whole film. Honest to God, I love that guy.
Oh, Tony Shalhoub, yeah.
He just
he
wanders in and just kind of like chills his way through the whole situation going, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, it's fine. Like, whatever. I need a sandwich, anyone?
Yeah, he was written to be high because he's like aloof and eating snacks the whole time. Yeah. So they call up from engineering and say they found a new propulsion source on a nearby planet, the replacement beryllium sphere. So they all load in the shuttle, going down.
Forgetting the bit where like he turns over to his crew and he's like, "Hey, come on, bring in, guys." He does the big group hug with his entire crew.
It's on the screen. I brought pictures. Don't worry.
Bring it in, guys. Bring it in.
He goes, "That was exactly right. Good job, everyone." So they're going down to the planet in a shuttle. Guy is having a mental breakdown on the way. because he's the.
I thought I'd be the guy that gets lifted up on the ship and then he dies. But now I'm thinking, what if I'm the guy who goes down onto the planet and then he dies to establish that the situation is serious? Sam Rockwell is so good in this movie.
Sam Rockwell is
he's
brilliant. Yeah,
he's so good. So they land safely. Tech Sergeant Chen opens the shuttle bay door, and Guy freaks out again. What are you doing? Is there air? You don't know. And Chen sniffs the air. He goes, "Seems okay to me." So we get a lot of great banter on the surface. I'm not going to quote all of it. On the surface, as they're approaching the beryllium sphere that they need to power the ship. Unfortunately, it's guarded by evil sharp-teethed little baby aliens.
These things, they freak me out. They're really weird.
Yeah, no, because they're designed to look cute, and then Gwen almost falls for it. She's like, "Hi, hi," and then freaking Guy has to go, "You fucking moron! You don't understand. It's you turn away. There's gonna be a million of them, and then they're gonna get mean."
Did you guys ever watch the show?
Yeah.
These guys are the reason I don't show this to my children. Like every other part of this film, I would show to my kids, apart from these, because I know they would just go like, "Oh my god,
scary.
they're freaky. I don't like them."
So they devise a divide and conquer plan. They send Laredo and Guy up to the hill to be the lookouts, and they're going to go capture this beryllium sphere. So Taggart, in another Kirk move, he grabs his weapon. He starts doing
combat rolls. Yeah.
Combat rolls, flips on the ground, and then Alexander and Gwen just start walking next to him. They're like, "Does the flipping help?" He goes, "That helps."
That's the Shatner serpentine, isn't it? What we saw in A Man Trap.
He's like, he drops a gun.
So they managed to secure a beryllium sphere, and they're rolling it back to the shuttle when the little creepy aliens realize what happened, and they start chasing them. And there's a tense moment. They all get on the shuttle except for Jason, who falls back at the last second. Alexander takes offense to that. He's like, "Oh, always have to be the hero," and so Jason sacrifices himself so they can all leave. And so the little aliens pick up a rock and smash him, fade to black. He wakes up being licked by a giant alien pig, and the little aliens are around him chanting, "Grignak, Grignak." So the crew hails him on his Vox communicator, and they say they're going to beam him up with a, quote, digital conveyor. I love how all the Trek tech has a different name.
Yeah.
They don't want to get...
I mean, so many shows do that. They're like, right, we want a replicator, but for legal reasons, we can't call it a replicator. Let's call it
a resequencer.
A replanter, yeah.
So the digital conveyor's never been tested before. So they decide instead of beaming up Jason, they're going to beam up the pig lizard. And it appears on the ship inside out. It pulses for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And then it explodes with little bits all over everyone there.
And Ted as well.
Imagine if that happened. Imagine if that happened in the motion picture. If they came up with what
I imagine happened on the other end.
But on the other end it did. But imagine if it happened the Enterprise end. You got Janice Rand and Kirk standing there, just bits of Vorik.
And then it exploded.
It exploded. Yeah.
Wait! You're saying it turned it inside out and then it exploded? Tim Allen is so on point in this movie.
Dude, this actually might be his best role ever. Seriously.
Maybe Buzz Lightyear, but yeah.
So they're back. Cut to the planet. Jason is surrounded by the little aliens chanting Grignak. It wasn't the pig, it turns out. It's a massive rock creature which animates itself like a golem.
Oh, darn.
And starts chasing him.
Can I just say, I remember seeing the trailer for this, and pre-CGI days, and I remember thinking, oh my god, that looks like the best thing ever. Like, it's amazing. And then I watched the Thor: The Dark World trailer. It's really good effect. And then I watched the Thor: The Dark World trailer where they did the exact same thing, and I went, no, Galaxy Quest did it first.
Galaxy Quest did it.
Yeah.
So Grignak is chasing Jason around the planet, and he's on the phone calling for help. No one knows what to do, and then suddenly Guy chimes in. He goes, "I know! You construct a weapon. Look around you. Can you form some sort of rudimentary lathe?" Yeah. Guy, get off the comm!
Rudimentary lathe.
Which my family has quoted that line ever since the movie came out.
Like rudimentary lathe. Those words had never been put together before Galaxy Quest.
So they give Tech Sergeant Chen a little pep talk, and in walks his Thermian, soon-to-be Thermian girlfriend, which emboldens him.
I
So he
believe.
successfully
So,
beams
so
up.
that actress. Sorry, you said we could interrupt you at any moment. That
Oh,
actress. I ended up watching. I sat down with my son to watch the Alex Rider film.
Stormbreaker?
Yeah, it's got an impressive cast, including like Stephen Fry and like lots of other people, and including her.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi in there as well.
Yeah,
Missy
yeah.
Pyle.
Yeah, and yeah, she's in it as well. It's the most awful film ever. If you're a teenager, you'll love it. If you're my son, you'd love it. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Carry on. She was in that film, and it was awful. But carry on.
No, I think that was kind of her acting start. She's been in a lot of stuff since then. So Tech Sergeant Chen successfully beams up a shirtless Jason. And by the way, put that picture up because
Yeah.
I had to keep rewinding to get the exact frame for when they
See you
beam him
managed
up.
to get your shirt off then.
I see you managed to get your shirt off. So they're all celebrating because they beamed up Jason until they're informed by the Thermians there. He says, "Oh, we'll take you guys home." And they go, "We have no home. Their planet's been destroyed by Ceres." Aw. So before they can process that, Ceres strides in. He's already on the ship, and he's taking control. So he grabs the crew, take them to wherever they're torturing Mathazar for information. And he's interrogating Jason now. He asks him, where's the Omega-13? I don't know. And they torture Mathazar. Finally, Jason realizes he has to tell the truth. So he gives in and admits that they're just actors. And I guess Gwen, because she's the only one that can talk to the computer, orders it to play one of the historical documents from the show. And it's like really cheesy. You can see the bad effects. And it says, Jason Nesmith as Commander Taggart. Ceres finds this hilarious because he's not a complete dolt, and he orders Jason to explain this to Mathazar, and he tries to do that. Mathazar doesn't get it. He has to admit, we lied to you. It's a very, actually, it's a genuinely emotional moment. He says, it's all fake, just like me. Yeah, and then Mathazar does
It's
it.
real. Sorry, just had to make that joke. Oh, it's a fake.
So Ceres, being a better villain than Arrow, orders his lieutenant to airlock all the Thermians. So the bad guys escort the crew to the cargo hold where they're going to suck them out into space too.
Sorry, sir.
They've been blown out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so Jason
I don't think you're doing it justice, by the way. They don't just airlock them; they turn off the oxygen seal, so they're just slowly suffocating, and it's really, really awful. Actually, it's really mean.
Oh well, we'll get to that.
Isn't it worse that you know that they're octopus creatures? Like that somehow makes it worse. I don't know why.
Well, because they're kind of cute octopus creatures.
Yeah.
They look very, very non-threatening.
So Jason and Alex stage a mock fight to distract the guards. You've seen stealing a hack, and
Raving egomaniac.
you go, can't imagine where I got that. So the mock fight works. They grab a weapon, attack the guards, and then they airlock the evil lizards. But before they can celebrate, they look over and see the Thermians suffocating in the barracks on the view screen. So they go to make their way there. Jason, by the way, at this point has become a full commander. He's given everyone orders. You do this. You do this. Laredo's like, what do I do? He's like, you learn to drive. So he goes back and watches the historical documents.
I love he has time to do
Match
that.
the
Pedal to the metal, Commander. Yeah.
Pedal to the metal. So Jason and Gwen's job is to head down to the core and shut off the core overload there. Sarah's ordered the protector to be
The walk or
self-destruct.
breach, yes.
And
Do
they
you
don't know
think-
what to do.
Do you think there's enough of the original series that you think you could pilot the Starship Enterprise? I don't
No,
think that.
not the
No.
original one. Anything past that, like the TNG Enterprise, I could probably work out LCARs. I could probably work it out.
Maybe.
If I had a manual steering column, then yes, I could.
You do, but you just. No, okay,
So
no.
Jason and Gwen are heading down to the core, and they realize their only hope is to call this nerdy fan who Jason lambasted early on in the show for being too big a nerd. They earlier had bumped into each other and exchanged communicators. So this kid, Brandon, has the real one back on Earth. So Jason calls him and starts explaining, well, before he can explain anything, the kid cuts him off. He goes, look, Commander, I'm not a total brain case. I know, I understand completely that it's just a TV show, blah, blah, blah. And Jason cuts him off. He goes, it's all real. And the kid flips out and goes, I knew it! Which is us, by the way.
By the way,
This
No,
never
I was
happened.
going to make that
This
exact
is
same
Justin
comparison.
Long, by the way. This is Justin Long in his film debut, which I think is
Wow.
amazing. This was his first ever film.
So I was literally going to make
And-
this. So go on.
We also have the new Harry Mudd himself, Rainn Wilson.
We
is
do,
Also in
yes,
the
he's
movie,
one of the
and it's his
Thermians.
film debut. Yeah, it's amazing.
Auto, I was going to make the same joke, but I was going to do my timing with it. I was going to say, like, could you imagine, if, oh God, who would fall for that if one of our famous actors phoned us and said it's real, we need you on a space mission? What kind of person has a group of friends that nerdy around? And I'm just like, oh yeah, we're here doing this right now, aren't we? Okay, right, fine. Anyway, carry on.
Look, it would be the day of our lives. We can all admit that.
Only if it's Frakes.
I'd believe Frakes. I would believe anything that man tells me.
Okay, so Brandon and his nerdy friends, who one of them, by the way, has a neck like a giraffe. They did real good casting with this. They all have full schematics of the ship on their computers, and so they're guiding them through the bowels of the ship. First, they enter Jeffrey's tube and fall down several flights,
There's going to be a slight drop.
and they have
Can
to
you
make
do
their
that
way
scream
across.
again? I cut out. Sorry.
So they're making this way across a catwalk, with no hand railing, by the way, completely unsafe.
Of course.
And
totally.
Brandon tells him to look up.
No, right. Get his hand trapped in it. Sorry, go on. I'm trying to be a perfect gentleman.
That's a complete gentleman, actually.
Okay,
Oh,
Trip
sorry.
Tucker. A whole gentleman.
An old gentleman.
So Brandon tells them to look up. They're actually in the underbelly of the Omega-13. Again, we get another great visual with like little blown up molecules floating around. And they say, what does it do? Because they never used it on the show. And he says, most people think it's like an atomic bomb, but myself and others are convinced that it affects a 13-second time jump to the past. So we tuck that away for later in the show.
Because they have a great line where it says, like, 13 seconds, that's not enough time to do very much. Like, what would you do with that? And Nesbitt is like, enough to redeem a mistake, I guess.
Redeem a single mistake, yeah. So they cut to the rest of the cast doing their own part of the plan. Laredo's learning to fly. Alexander makes it to the barracks because they're going to try to crank open the door and get a little oxygen in before they suffocate. And he's there with his Thermian protege, who has already told him how much he loves and reveres Alexander Quillick. Yeah,
I used your, like, what was it? Your Xandarian
Mokhtar
stone
stealth
face.
save, yeah,
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah.
to avoid detection. So he picks up his buddy. They go to the barracks. They can't get the door open. And Quillick suggests they do the Mokhtar chant of strength. And Alexander,
The Rock.
he's so over it. But at this point, he's starting to actually buy into it because of everything that's happened. So he kind of rolls his eyes and goes, all right, they do the chant of strength and they break open the door and all the oxygen comes in. Tech Sergeant Chen and Guy and whatever her name
Lala, I
is,
believe the name is?
Lorelei, something like that. They beam Garignac, the rock creature, up from the planet into a room with all the bad lizard people. And as he's cleaning house and killing them all, they cut back to Chen and company smiling. He goes, sometimes it's the little things in life you appreciate.
I also appreciate that all of Sarah's men are playing cards on the floor. Like,
Yeah.
completely normal aliens playing fucking cards. Like, why? Why?
They're probably playing Fizbin, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
So Brandon continues to guide Jason and Gwen toward the core shutdown. He goes straight on through the chompers. So they're like, all right, they get there. And they realize there are these giant metal things slamming together.
Compressors, yeah.
And Gwen loses it. She's like, what?
Screw that.
Why do these exist? No, she goes, well, fuck that. And then they badly censor it to, well, screw that. And they,
Oh, I haven't seen. I need to. Because fuck that is way better.
idle pictures. Come on.
What?
You're behind.
Am I behind? Oh, yeah, there I am. Sorry, yep. Oh, yeah, she's even doing that.
Yeah, I know. I got
see the fuck
I didn't
that.
even notice that before.
So, this is the only way forward. They're getting shot at from behind, so they start jumping through the chomper.
No,
The
you're
nerd,
forgetting the kid is like 1-1-4-4-2-4-1, and then like Jason's just looking at it in disgust. Yeah, basically.
so the nerdy kid, to get the timing down for the chompers, is watching an old episode of Galaxy Quest, and they have these really slow-moving big styrofoam blocks.
Yeah.
That don't even
It's
touch
not
the floor.
remotely like how they are in
For
the
the
actual
chompers,
movie.
and then they cut to these like fast-moving metal slamming things, and that's a great juxtaposition there.
Can I just say,
so
Sigourney
they
Weaver's
cut back.
face in here is the best thing ever.
That whole rant is good. Yeah.
Whoever wrote this episode should die. It's so good. I fucking bet you, Marina Sirtis and Gage McFadden saw that and probably felt it a little bit in their soul.
Dude, I bet they would have taken they would love to have that role, kind of role.
It would have been so much fun, yeah.
So they cut back to the barracks where the air has been restored and the Thermians are rescued. They're all coming back alive. Alexander saunters in with his arms in the air. He's the hero for saving them with the Mokhtar chant of strength. And the Thermians go, Commander Taggart has saved us.
He has saved us. And he's just like,
I know. Alexander's so defeated. Where am I?
where are you?
I don't know.
Are you on board the NSCA Protector, perhaps?
Idle pictures. Come on.
Oh, come on. What? Transporter thing.
Professionalism.
Alexander.
Yes.
Okay. Where are we? So Alexander turns to leave, but his young protege gets shot in the back in the hallway.
I have
It's
been
a
shot.
very. It might actually be what he does. Yes.
He
So
just
suddenly,
flopped over.
I know it's a very serious moment, though. Alexander drags him inside to try to save him.
Hang on. So I think my pictures are out of order. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So Quellic. Hold on. Now I got to watch. Make sure.
Yeah, no, you're on the right one now, Idle. Well done.
Yeah. No, cool.
Quellic is
Only
dying.
5 minutes.
Quellic is dying in his arms, but he's been such a big fan of Alexander that he gives in. He gives him his Viking funeral, where he says, "By Grapthar's hammer, you shall be avenged." And then he
By
gets
the Sons
serious.
of Warvan, no less.
Oh yeah, by the Sons of Warvan. I even wrote that down.
And Quellic has that look in his eyes like he's seeing God.
Yeah, I know. He's like, oh. So the guy that shot him, his gun jammed. So Alexander stands up. He's get the slow rage build. He starts running towards him. He gets full speed. Steam runs into him. Starts attacking him. They cut back to Jason and Gwen trying to make it to the warp core. They get there, and there's a single button in the middle of the room that you press to turn off the self-destruct.
It's a little blue button. Yeah.
Yeah. So they open the little glass case. They press the button, and the countdown continues. And press. Nothing's happening. He gets on the Vox communicator. He's like, Brandon, what's going on? And they cut to outside of Brandon's house. He's taking the garbage out to put it in the dumpster.
You have no idea what kind of perilous situation the commander is in.
And his mom's yelling at him.
Mixing it with the recyclables.
You know what? I've had this very same conversation with my son very recently when he was listening to something on his CD player, and it's just like, I can't stop it. I've got to listen to it live. And I was like, no, you will go and do your chores right now, son.
Yeah. So Jason and Gwen have come to accept they're about to die. Jason's about to profess his love to Gwen when the countdown stops at 1 second. And she goes, oh, it always does that on the show.
Yeah, she's always just like on the show.
So they cut back to Saris' ship. He realizes the self-destruct hasn't worked. So he says, all right, we're going to blow up the NSCA Protector. So the heroic crew is successfully...
Oh, you're not going to mention the fact that he realizes that right as the two guys that got airlocked earlier splatter on his windshield, which I think is a hilarious visual gag.
That is good. Yes, so the crew successfully executed their plan. They run back to the bridge. Now they're like fully engrossed in muscle memory has taken over.
Plasma armor engaged.
Yeah, engage the armor, pedal to the metal, Commander. So they fly back through this minefield, this time getting close to the mines because they're magnetic, and they drag a bunch of them behind the ship. So have this little moment on the bridge where Saris calls Commander Taggart, and they duel back and forth with words. And then he says, "I'm dragging mines," and the ship pulls all the mines in Saris's ship and explodes it. Yes.
No Picard season 3 spoilers. But anyway, carry on.
Okay.
That's how you know it's a good parody.
Yeah. And Galaxy Quest did it first.
Yeah.
So
I was. Yeah. No. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
So Saris' ship is destroyed, and there's elation on the bridge. There's celebrations and fist pumping. Mathazar and the Thermians come up to the bridge, and they're celebrating and laughing about before when, you're really an actor. No one would ever believe that. Of course, you're the real captain.
What a deception!
Yeah. So Commander Taggart orders Laredo to take him home. So they go through a black hole, come out on the other side. All systems working, Commander. Tech Sergeant Shen comes on board, or enters the bridge, and Jason sees him, and, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?" He raises his weapon and smiles. He goes, "Oh, he doesn't think thinks he's screwing with him." "Oh, careful where you point that." Chen shoots him, and all of a sudden we get this great slow-mo sequence where he reveals himself to be secretly Saris, who had beamed aboard the ship in disguise, and he starts shooting everyone. Oh, they're doing like the overly dramatic.
Okay, but the thing I love is the guy is the only guy who doesn't get shot. Guy is the only one who doesn't get killed.
Yes, so they're all on the floor dying. Suddenly, from earlier, Jason realizes the Omega-13. If it's not a bomb, and it actually takes him back in time 13 seconds, he could redeem the one mistake. So he orders Mathazar to do it. God bless him, Mathazar doesn't hesitate. He runs over, punches the button, and we activate the Omega-13. They cut back to right when they had come out of the black hole. And when the turbo lift doors open, Jason runs over and starts beating the shit out of Chen, who everyone thinks is actually Fred Kwan and not Saris. Where am I?
Where are you?
Right. Are you body in this here protected by him?
So they realize that it's finally Saris and subdue him. But then the issue is they came too fast out of the black hole. This, by the way, is another 10 out of 10 Trek trope. They have to separate the ship.
Yeah.
So the Thermians head down to the battle bridge, except Laliari, who is now inseparable with Tech Sergeant Shen. And all the actor heroes go up to the bridge, and they separate the ship. And then they do this goofy little, I have to shout out the cutaway they do with the Thermians on the battle bridge. And they actually remix the main theme to be like goofier and jauntier, and it's really well done. So they cut to Brandon's house on Earth, who is racing down the stairs. He's about to head out. He's got an armful of Roman candles. And this is such like 90s movie dialogue right here. Mom goes, "Oh, where are you going?" He goes, "The Protector got super accelerated coming out of the black hole, and it like nailed the atmosphere at Mark 15, which is pretty obviously unstable. So we're going to use Laredo, guide it down the Fox Ultra frequency carrier, and use Roman candles for visual confirmation." And his mom goes, "All right, dinner's
It is
at
a 7.
Yeah. Oh, 90s. It's really bad.
But you're not going to talk about the fact that like he leaves and then his like parents look at each other and goes, well, he's
You
out.
say that. I think I have definitely had moments where my son has come down in a hurry. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he comes out with a load of like, "I'm doing blah blah blah," because I go blah blah. I'm like, "Okay, sure. Yeah, you go do that. Whatever it is, as long as you're happy, you go do that." So no, that's not just 90s. That is general, like, parent, like, your son is doing something, or your children are doing something they're excited about. Fine, they're happy.
So we're in the QuestCon convention parking lot, and like a shooting star, the NSA Protector ejection pod comes in for a landing. It grazes above Brandon's head, blows like the wind blows him back. That's a pretty cool shot. It skitters across the floor and crashes into the side of the convention building, landing butt right up against the stage, where a mere 2 hours ago in real time, they were reluctantly doing yet another dreaded convention appearance. So I like
only
the little
2
parallel
hours?
there. Well, the movie's not even 2 hours, or it's right about 2
It's like
hours.
it's like an hour and a half.
I thought it was like a day or something. Like this is the next convention on another day because they
Oh, no,
kind of finish.
I mean, in real life, the time elapsed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably been like, I don't know, a day or two. So they cut to the inside of the convention building. There's smoke and debris everywhere. The protector shuttle pod door opens, and Laredo stumbles. By the way, when this thing hits the convention, everyone scatters. They think like a bomb has gone off because obviously that's a place you're going to target. And they scatter thinking like something traumatic has happened. And when the door opens, they see Laredo stumble out. And all of a sudden the crowd erupts, thinking that this is like a show for the fans, and that was how they're going to do the entrance. And then they bring out, Guy and another shipmate. And then Alexander comes out and goes, Alexander Dane, give him a hand.
He's British. We love it. Yeah, that should be our new like intros on the show.
You and me is like, Stars
That's Idol,
he's British.
Yes. Give him a hand. He's British. He needs all the help he can get.
So all of a sudden we see a close-up on Saris's big lizard face, and one eye flicks open, and they play like a drum beat, so you know something's coming up. Jason is the last one to stumble out of the pod to the roar of the crowd, and he goes to embrace his castmates on stage, when from behind the dastardly Saris emerges. I love this bit. Saris comes out, some guy in the audience has a little prop gun with little like...
Yeah, the little nerf guns here go pop, 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 pop.
And he fires foam bullets at Saris. I'm like, quick thinking by that guy. So Jason sees Saris. He thinks fast. He grabs Laredo's weapon. He does one of those stunt rolls, and he fires at him. And he vaporizes Saris in the most ridiculously gaudy small pyro display you've ever seen in your life. It's
like a small starburst goes off. It's like, wow, that's one hell of a Remick saying.
By the way, that's another screenshot that it took me a while to get the exact frame on, so I hope everyone appreciates that. So Saris is dead now. They're conquering heroes. Jason grabs Gwen, tips her, and kisses her, and then marches forward to Mug for the camera. They're all cheering him, but unlike the first time, he realizes his friends got him there. So he calls them all forward. They do a big stage bow together. Then in the epilogue, we get basically Galaxy Quest: The Next Generation. They rebooted the show, so they're playing the credits for the show. They brought everyone back after 18 years. Great Galaxy Quest theme playing. Everyone's getting their credits, including Guy Fleegman as Security Chief Rock Ingersoll, who mugs for the camera and gives like the finger guns, and then fade to black.
Great film.
So you know what one of my favorite touches is about the costuming in this, which I think is actually kind of like underrated. Is that it kind of ties back to how this looks better than it should. Is that if you look at everyone's uniforms, they're all wearing like kind of not quite fitting cosplay outfits for a good amount of the period the film. Except for Taggart, because when he comes on board the second time and they're all like busy freaking out in the transport room, he comes back in this fitted, really nice looking uniform, actually, and they're all stuck in their shitty ones for the rest of the movie. Because he bought in, he's like, well, I get the good uniform, and I love that little bit of that blending and that little nod at the fans, like, yeah, this is the difference between us. This is what a budget looks like.
This film sort of fits in with the kind of 90s, like you say, it's a very 90s film for the reason that like this and Men in Black and kind of The Mummy as well is very much fish out of water films. Like people that are thrown
Mystery Men as well.
Mystery Men as well. People that are thrown into situations they think they know, they think they're aware of, but actually they don't. And it kind of really, like, those are, these are top tier films. Galaxy Quest, Men in Black, The Mummy, top tier films, like, for that kind of action adventure genre, which was very prolific, that we kind of are lacking a little bit nowadays.
They're cool, like, genre clashes, right? Where it's like, let's do sci-fi comedy, let's do, with like Men in Black, let's do kind of police movie, but it's also a sci-fi kind of comedy, but like still very serious. The clash is where a lot of the humor and the energy comes from.
I feel like I love these films because I feel like I'm missing them in films these days. Like, as Marvel is kind of like, the Marvel films have kind of hit that note a little bit, but they've kind of become their own beast now and is devolved into whatever it is. We're kind of missing these kind of little one-shot films that are just unique cult classics, like Blade as well. Blade kind of had that, although in a slightly weird vibe. It had this very much like 90s cult classic kind of feel to it.
Some
So
motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. Still a top tier line.
So a few bits of trivia, which were shamelessly stolen from IMDb, but I picked out the best ones. According to writer David Howard, the continuous melodic yet melotone voice of the Thermian commander Mathazar was an original idea that the actor Enrico Colantoni brought to the character. Everyone on set loved it so much they kept it in the film. And even went further, says the casting director loved it so much, she broke protocol and showed his audition to all the other actors to demonstrate how the Thermians should behave.
It's perfect. It is literally... Because it's immediately hilarious, but it's also very endearing. Like, there's just something like perfectly set about it. So good.
Director Dean Pariseau and star Tim Allen have revealed in interviews that the original tone of the film was much darker, with more scenes of violence. After test screening, the film was recut to emphasize the comedy and obtain a PG rating. I'm not sure I even want to see a R-rated cut of this movie.
No, I don't think it would fit.
No, I think it does drive the tone. I think my only complaints about the film are how quick they come to assimilate with the crew. I feel like in a more modern series they'd be freaking out the whole way, and then by the end of it they'd just be like, no, that was insane. Like, what just happened? They'd be traumatized from it. But I can get where they came from with it.
But enough about the Maquis. In the audio commentary for the Star Trek 09 movie, director J.J. Abrams says, "By the way, I think we have all gone on record as saying our favorite Trek film is Galaxy Quest. And the sequence where Kirk and Sulu are falling toward Vulcan without a parachute is clearly an homage to Tony Shalhoub's great save in that film."
Yeah,
Producer and director J.J. Abrams is a huge fan of Galaxy Quest and had the green lighting of Saris' ship repeated in Nero's ship Narada. He also borrowed the idea of the manner of Saris' ship destruction being charged headlong for Nero's ship. And then I think I said this earlier, when Eric Bana was struggling for ideas how to play Nero, Abrams showed a copy of the film and told him he wanted to portray Nero in a similar vein as Saris.
Don't ruin Galaxy Quest for me now.
No, guess what? That just makes 09 even worse, because it's like, that's not even a Star Trek movie now. It's a Galaxy Quest ripoff.
No, that makes 09 better. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
No,
well,
it's
half and half. I love 09. I love 09, but yeah.
Saris is such a better villain than Nero. Saris
is a kind of... He's not really that much of a villain. He is a villain in the fact...
I don't know. He's pretty intimidating. Like, he has a cool visual design.
Dude, he tortures people. He airlocks them. How is he not a villain?
He is the Batman the 1970s or 60s, 70s, the Adam West series Batman of villains.
Yeah, he's over the top, which I will take over nothing.
Oh,
what does Nero do
Nero wasn't...
in 09? He does jack shit. I can't quote a single line he says.
Christopher.
Wow. Cinema.
That's
in theaters. In theaters, the first 20 minutes of the film were presented in the 1.85 by 1 widescreen image. When Tim Allen first realizes he's on a real spaceship and the vista of Thermia is revealed, the screen image widens to 2.35 by 1. So there were some issues with the theaters not playing it well and stuff, but that's actually, I find that a really cool Easter egg that, like, they put in there for the viewers the exact moment where he realizes shit got real.
Well, because they play with it in the movie as well, where you get the opening bit where they show you a bit of Galaxy Quest and then it opens up to a proper cinematic widescreen and then they play with it again.
A definite moment where he kind of goes from real life and he starts being sucked through the kind of the jelly of the weirdly sort of liquid transporter, and then ends up sort of looking on the ship over this vista of space. Is kind of a it's kind of a moment, you know. It's kind of a cool moment where it goes from like a spoof to kind of like, oh wait, this is a sci-fi spoof.
Or as Cranky called it earlier, the splooge transporter.
Yes, sploof.
Okay, one last bit. A little bit of what if. Harold Ramis wanted to cast Alec Baldwin in the lead role, which he turned down. Steve Martin and Kevin Kline were also considered, though Kline turned it down for family reasons. When Tim Allen was cast, Ramis left the project. After seeing the film, he ultimately said he was impressed with Tim Allen's performance.
I think Tim Allen.
Can you imagine
was the right
this
choice.
with Alec Baldwin or Steve Martin?
I don't know. I don't think Alec Baldwin were right fit. I think
Steve
maybe
Martin,
Kevin Kline maybe. because I like him as much as Wild Wild West is another 90s cult camp classic, which I ironically love. I think he'd fit it. I think Tim Allen is the best choice for this. Like,
I think Tim Allen has just the right blend of like pathos in which you can be like, yeah, that's a guy, and also just like being such a narcissistic piece of shit, and he's just buying into his own hype.
Yeah.
And the dichotomy of that character, which would be so easy to overplay. It was so easy to be like, no, I'm going to do a Shatner impression, right? And make it overt. But instead, he's not really. He's not a massively toxic narcissist like Shatner is in real life.
Well, he is at the start.
He's just kind of so...
He is at
the
the
start.
start.
The thing is, what does he actually do that is such an awful... He is like way into his fan base. He buys into his own hype. And he turns up late.
Well, look,
compared to the shit that Shatner and co would do, like
he is Kirk. Like, they wrote him to be that, but it is impressive for as much as they wrote this to be a parody of TOS and him to be Kirk. You're right. His take on it is original enough. There's no stupid speech cadences.
Exactly.
Like, there's no all the strutting is like natural stuff. So it was very believable.
I think they want.
He's a way more like he's a narcissist that you can believe can grow out of it. He's fallen into that trap, but it's not like a pervasive personality disorder where you believe that it's gonna like come right back after the movie's finished. You know,
I think in that period of like 97, like the era of like, obviously like DS9 and Voyager were huge. Star Trek was kind of huge in its own sort of like sex, but TOS and the Kirk era stuff was kind of done, so they wouldn't have done a direct Shatner impression, but they would have definitely a narcissistic TV personality was very much on vogue, having someone that believed their shit enough to be so every audience would believe that as opposed to someone doing a Shatner impression. Like, people go like, oh, he's full of his shit, as opposed to someone like, oh, he's doing Shatner. Like, people go, who's Shatner?
Yeah, and I feel like they were really smart in making this an obvious TOS pastiche, but there's enough TNG in there. There's enough little bits of TNG with like the child prodigy character, which wasn't really a thing on TOS.
I think it goes wider than that. I think this hits on some very basic.
I was a bit lost in space as well.
Well, not just that, but I'm thinking like, if my wife watched this, like, my wife has never watched any Star Trek. She has no interest in it, but I feel like she would enjoy this movie for the fact that she can recognize people that are so full of shit. She can recognize people that are obsessed with their own stuff, or people that are desperate like the rest of the cast to do stuff, and then get sucked into this other world where they're stuck in an equally other absurd situation. I think those tropes of basic human interaction are wider than the Trek spoof that it tries to parody.
The show comps are too narrow, because think of how much the show's devoted to like laughing at the fans, or guess who saves them at the end. Oh, it was all real. It's a commentary on the entire sci-fi and specifically
it's a little
Star
bit
Trek
of that,
universe.
get a life kind of moment from Shatner, which is a little bit disparaging. I feel like this kind of does poke a little bit too much on it, but it does pay it off at the end by their being right about it. So,
well, it's also a case of like, it pokes at these people like being, like kind of socially maladjusted in a way. In that, like, they are so focused on this show,
which is cool now.
But
like
in
the 20 in this day and age,
as an asshole for breaking that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Why do you have the alien babies on screen? Oh, you
no, it's just automatic. I'll just put it on cycle now.
All right.
But like, that's the thing. Is like, the movie never like says that making fun of people like that is the right thing to do. They always portray it as mean and cruel and like darkly spirited.
They do. You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
And it is also a case of when a lot of these fans are normal people who are just like, oh, I watched Galaxy Quest. Like, me and the husband always thought you and like Commander Nesmith had a fun little thing in episode 17, and it's like, they use episode things, but it's like a lot of these people who attend GalaxyCon don't even feel like they're massive nerds. They feel like they are as a wide gamut of people who are gonna watch the show on syndication and like, yeah, fuck it, I've got an evening to kill. I'll pop down to the convention center and see it. And then you have the massive super nerds like Brandon, right?
Well, yeah, that the slightly chubby guy who goes up to Alexander, he's got the headpiece on. He's like, "By the sons of Orvan!" He's all excited, and he just like grabs the autograph from him. It's like, I'm not putting up with
but
this
it's
shit.
also like I like the moment where Gwen like breaks away from the autograph table and she's like with the that group of people who are all dressed as her character, and
Yeah, she's posing with them.
Yeah, and it's like I like that little nod to the fact that even though this was a limited role in like an 80s like sci-fi show with limited reach, there's like people find strength in that just like they do in actual Trek or in other sci-fi shows. They find inspiration, they find like a role model sometimes. And it's like like you say, it's bigger than just Trek where it would have been like trailblazing whatever, but like just as like taking it seriously and allowing her to have her own thing. She's not just an accessory to Nesmith. Like, I feel like that expands it out so that it's not just a one-sided portrayal of fan culture.
Now, see, Idle left just when I wanted to. I was hoping to get us done before 3 hours. We'll see. As we are now becoming famous for, we need to tier this movie because I know you're going to what's the word? Completely dismiss my personal tier ratings. But I have to say, in the greater scope of Star Trek movies, I would have this as my, well, I guess it's not a tier, more of a ranking. I would have this as my second best Star Trek movie behind Wrath of Khan. And then fighting for 3 and 4 would be First Contact and Nemesis, I think. Not Nemesis, sorry, Insurrection. Yeah, not Nemesis is at the bottom, don't worry. I know, you're a massive First Contact nerd, but look, this movie is...
The fact that you even said Nemesis in that.
it's a Freudian slip. I actually secretly love Nemesis. All right, so where would you rank this in your... Welcome back. We are ranking Galaxy Quest among all Star Trek movies. I told him for me, it's probably Wrath of Khan. I know you're going to hate me for this. Galaxy Quest second. And then you can fill in 3, 4 from there.
So one thing I was just thinking of was how... We were talking earlier about like Strange New Worlds and Modern Trek being quite sort of like more liberal with the cast and not how they interact directly, instead of being sort of like strictly to the line, strictly to this is what you're doing, you're just the actor in here, we are the producers. This kind of feels like, especially feel like Sigourney Weaver's character is like, feels like if they were on the set, like there was a bit more liberation because it was a spoof. Because not a spoof, it's a serious film. This isn't just like a kind of scary movie situation where they were spoofing things, but it feels like, excuse me,
satire more than anything else.
Yes, satire, great, yes. And it feels like they're on script, and if they they had the freedom on set to sort of maybe be a bit more liberal with the lines they weren't. Hence with them Sigourney Weaver saying "fuck it," and they had to dub it to screw it. But it feels like that this film sort of paved the way for people to kind of be like, oh, maybe, and I suppose other films did it, but especially in the sci-fi genre sense, sort of like, oh, maybe we can be a bit more liberal with the cast, which inspired maybe things like Discovery and Stranger Worlds to be a bit more free-form and informative.
It's interesting because I remember back when the Austin Powers movies came out.
So tier 1.
That actually...
We'll get there. Let's start from this point.
Yeah. Back when the Austin Powers movies came out, there was a lot of people saying, okay, Bond's dead. Like, you can't do just a unabashed, like, played straight Bond anymore with the stupid names and the bad characters, right?
Pussy
and then to
galore.
a degree, yeah, you can't anymore. Like, what was the last freaking like so 2002 2003 you had Austin Powers Goldmember and Die Another Day, which exemplified all the worst traits of the Bond franchise, and then it died and it came back as Casino Royale, which proceeds to make fun of itself for that. And you also had the Bourne movies with its like more energetic cinematography, and it's like, yeah, Bond had to be reborn But
they did
Star
Spectre,
Trek
which did
survived.
Goldmember again. He said, "Oh, it's my brother all along."
Well, that's why Spectre is garbage. That's why Spectre is like trash, and it'll be like tiered nothing. And I feel like Galaxy Quest kind of did the same for sci-fi, where it's like you gotta have a bit of a sense of humor about your stuff, and you gotta lean a bit more into the fans. I think Star Trek and sci-fi survived a lot better than James Bond did Austin Powers, but It is. I think it did have an effect on things. I think it might have just been like a little bit of a nudge of you can have a bit more fun with it. You can be a bit more. It doesn't have to be well considered humor on the bridge. It can be.
This is the same era
wide with your range.
This is the same era as Mars Attacks, which did the same thing to kind of like that 50s trope of like, you know, aliens with the big brains coming in from outer space, which was, I need to rewatch Mars Attacks. I haven't seen it since the 90s, but I remember it being the same kind of feel as Galaxy Quest.
So as you guys are talking, I'm watching the images scroll through, and I'm falling in love with this movie even hard. Is there air? You don't know. Like, every line is so damn good. All right, so before we tear, I got to ask you a very serious question. Is there, because one of the best strengths, it is tight.
It's incredibly well paced. Yes.
How many scenes can you realistically cut out? Because I'm trying to think. Maybe the one where they beam Grignac into the room with the bad guys. That's only like 30 seconds.
Humor,
yeah. Maybe the scene where Brandon's Roman candles and he's going to guide them down. Maybe you can cut like a minute there, but
maybe you could cut the bit where they're talking in the cafeteria. But even then, there's some fun character bits there.
Well, that's where they first.
Sorry, you could cut all the young kids and just have them crash into the convention center. That's all it needs to do from there.
But then they have no idea what the fuck they're doing in around the ship.
Like,
they're going to get through the chompers on their own. Like,
and it's also part of the theming is like buying into it and allowing yourself to be taken away by what the show represents rather than what it was. You know?
Right. What we just talked about is it's a commentary on the fans as well, and so not having them kind of be the co-hero of the movie I think that takes a lot away from it. So
So
it's really tight, I think.
How are we
There's very little
What
filler.
are we tiering this? Like, what was your criteria?
Let's rank. Just where would you rank this, basically, in the Trek movies?
In Trek movies?
Just in your favorite.
Give me
Trek
your
movies.
top 14 of Trek movies.
So I'm gonna lay you some real truth.
Just start until you get to Galaxy Quest.
I'm gonna lay you a truth right now. This isn't a Trek film. I'm so sorry, guys. I love it.
Okay, where would you?
What it is.
I'm sorry. This is more of a Trek movie than any of the Kelvin movies, bar maybe Beyond, and it's way more of a Trek movie and way more in the spirit and way more fun than Nemesis.
Okay, yes.
No, I'm fine with Frontier. We watched it together, but Nemesis is fucking dull and it's long and it's boring and it's unpleasant.
Just like my sex life.
Title your sex tape. All right, look.
That's a self-fulfilling prophecy right there.
I'm going to try to tap dance around the loaded phrase that you guys hate. This, to me, is more true to the Trek spirit.
That's some good tap dancing. That's a very good tap dancing.
Than in certain entire series and certain entire movies. So, all right, just rank it as to how much you personally enjoy it.
Love this film. S tier, absolutely. Top of the game.
He wants to know where it stands.
With the Trek films, I can't. I absolutely can't rank it with Trek films. It is so fundamentally different.
Can.
No, I cannot. It is set in a real world.
Okay, Idol. How about this? I want you to rank the following movies.
Okay.
Rank Wrath of Khan.
Okay, fine.
Quest.
If you want to rank me the Trek films and Galaxy Quest, I will happily do that.
Yeah, there you go. Fine, whatever.
Just for personal enjoyment.
Whatever, Landrew. I've broken your programming, dipshit.
When you sit down and watch it, how much do you enjoy the following?
Well, not as much as the motion picture.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay. I would rank it the same as I would rank The Voyage Home because they have very similar fields. It is very much sort of fish out of water, contemporary filmed stuff with like humor as the focus with a more action adventure orient rather than a science fiction orient. Like, this is absolutely a science fiction film, but it is more focused around the family action adventure with the relatable characters as opposed to a far out science fiction threat like something like the Voyage Home's whale probe, or someone deciding they need to feel everyone's pain to find God.
So where does it rank?
It's high. I rank it better than Search for Spock.
Okay.
It's not as good as Wrath of Khan.
Better than Nemesis, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Better
you said better than Final Frontier?
Better than Final Frontier. Better than Insurrection.
Okay.
better than, not as good as The Undiscovered Country, not as good as Wrath of Khan, not as good as First Contact, not as good as Generations. Maybe are the same as Generations. Maybe.
No, I disagree with
maybe
that.
put it there.
No.
Maybe a little bit above.
Generations is nowhere near as cohesive as this.
Dude, Picard looking at a scrapbook of his family and crying, like, adds nothing to that movie whatsoever.
Right, maybe it's better than Generations. Although I love the lighting in Generations, I love the emotion chip arc, and I love Astrometrics. That's cool.
Yes, but Guy Fleegman.
What about Rocking, Good Soul Idol?
Right, and the new Trek JJ movies better than those? Give me 2. I'll take 2.
I would say it's better than all 3 of them.
Oh, so we're better than 8 Star Trek movies already. Just admit you love this.
I've never denied I love this film. I think it's a brilliant film. I'm just agreeing that it's not a Star Trek film, like many people try to claim.
Agreeing with whom?
Myself.
Okay.
It's not a Star
All
Trek film.
right, says set us straight, Stars.
I would probably pop this below Wrath of Khan, below First Contact.
Undiscovered Country, come on.
Undiscovered Country is uneven in places.
It's so good. No.
I'd put this above Undiscovered Country. Yeah, I'd say this is probably the third best Star Trek film.
Third best. Oh, Stars. Finally, we agree wholeheartedly on something. This is.
I just love
lucky.
Galaxy Quest. It's so good.
No denying it is a great film. If you put me on such a pedestal now, I feel like such a sinner. Like, how could you rate this so poorly?
You should feel bad.
Look, I do it enough that I'm not going to call you a fake fan again. But just know that I'm thinking it on the inside, Idol.
It's not a Star Trek film. Like, I get it. I get why people say, like, this is as good as a Star Trek film, but they're real people that thrust into a situation. Like, the plot says otherwise. Like, I'm on the losing end of this, I can tell.
You are easily on the wrong end of it.
Dude, it feels so good to finally, like, team up with one of you against the other one. Usually it's like
know,
Discovery versus me, you know?
Yeah. You know, I do have to point out one or two like minor things that annoy me. So, they actually fuck up every now and then, and they call him Captain Taggart every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though he's meant to be Commander, which I think is like that could have used another part of the script.
Well, no, because he can be captain in rank but commander of the ship.
No.
No.
By the way, Nifty
It's a
points
fictional
out.
rank structure.
Nifty points out that real people, you know, pretending to be heroes like Lily Sloan and Phoenix Cochran, something like that.
They're still in a fictional universe.
You know what? If someone in Galaxy Quest said, "Don't try to be a great man, just be a man and let history make its own judgments," it wouldn't be out of place.
No, you're not wrong, but they didn't. They also didn't say...
Also, I love Alan's wig.
Yeah.
I love Alan's wig in the 80s Galaxy Quest segments, where it's like all shaggy and so something about it just cracks me up every time I see it.
I love the engineer,
At
the high
certain
guy.
points it takes damage and then it comes back like repaired. So
I
good.
love the engineer. I forget his name. The high guy, the guy that's just like stoned throughout the entire...
Fred Kwan, whose last name isn't actually Kwan.
I love him throughout this entire film to the point where he just like this alien chick with many tentacles. He's just like, yeah, man, I'm into that. That's fine. I got no, he is like my role model.
Oh, that's not right.
Yeah, he's just my role model. Like walk into every situation, and just kind of go like, yeah, let's roll with it. Like, this is cool, man. Like,
when they're in the shuttle pod going down to get the beryllium sphere, he's got that little pack. Everyone knows what they are. Those little long, like cracker sticks, and then the little cheese dip next to it, and he's like dipping it in the cheese and eating it.
Yeah, apparently he's meant to be a stoner, but they can't like show it.
Yeah.
So they just have him constantly eating and acting like he's stoned.
So one of the weird mistakes you mentioned, Stars. One of the early plot points is they don't know what Guy's last name is, but then like later on, like a scene later, whatever, Jason calls him Fleegman, which is his last name. So I hope someone got fired for that blunder.
man,
Yeah, they're right.
Sam Rockwell is so good in this. Like, I think
he's good in every movie. Like, he's one of the best parts of Iron Man 2 as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, Iron Man 2.
Great in Moon.
I will speak in very much defense. I really love Iron Man 2 on many levels. But yeah, definitely Sam Rockwell is the first moment I went like, oh, it's that guy from Galaxy Quest. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is cool.
Well, he's also Zaphod Beeblebrox, and he's also
he is,
in Moon,
isn't
which is
he?
amazing.
Oh my god,
Moon is
yeah,
great.
I forgot about
He's
that.
so good as Zaphod. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I like how Ezra talking about him. His little credit pops up on our stream. Good time.
Right.
And Tim Allen's great. Tim Allen sort of embraces that kind of arrogant personality that
he can be a bit of a dick, but he's got some great roles.
Yeah, he embraces what we think of as what I think what Shatner thinks of himself. Maybe Shatner thinks of
Shatner wishes he was as nice as Nesmith is. I don't think William Shatner has ever given a fan nearly half as much time as Nesmith gave to anyone in this movie.
I just realised Alan Rickman is also in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So you've got Alan Rickman and Sam Rockwell as well. They're both in there. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, and what is it? Lieutenant Daniels from Enterprise, a time traveler, plays a Thermian in this. So,
does he really?
It is a Star Trek movie.
Right.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow. All right. I stand corrected. The temporal Cold War
And not
is
to mention,
fully in effect.
don't you want to be able to say that Alan Rickman was in a Star Trek movie?
Oh, that's true. I would love to.
I would love Alan Rickman to be in a Star Trek movie. I really would.
Oh yeah, and Rainn Wilson, who plays Mud. So there's 2 Trek alum.
Yeah.
After the fact.
Thank you, Nifty.
After the fact.
Talk some sense into it.
Well,
I don't want this episode.
We have won the war.
I don't want it to end.
This is so good, dude.
I'm doing your bad English accent. I don't want it to end.
Shut up, old who, you moron.
Sorry, you moron.
Well,
apparently the original script was titled Galaxy Quest: The Motion Picture as a reference to
yeah,
TNT.
there we go. Love
Oh, that's great.
Thank you, Overtired in chat. Congratulations, you're the #1 Blame Idol stream on Twitch. So.
Not wrong.
Oh my god. The prefix of the Protector's registration number NTE3120 alludes to some sort of Space Federation, but actually stands for not the Enterprise. That's up there with my goes nowhere, does nothing pipes in TOS. I fucking love those. Those are my
By the way,
favorites.
Nifty, the Galaxy Quest truthers are called Questarians, as they establish in the story.
Fucking having a
we are
stream
all
with a couple of
Questarians.
Questarians.
I'll happily be a Questarian.
I've heard you're a big Questarian.
We are Thermians from the Cloudroom Nebula. We need you.
On that note, I think it's time. We wrap this whole thing up. We will be back. Me and Stars will be back next week with the Klingon Honor Guard Part 2, which I'm hyped for. This is actually quite
We're
amazing.
going to be hanging out with Tony Todd.
Hell yeah! Well, not in the flesh, sadly. I would love to be. I would love to play.
No,
Klingon
yes,
Honor
he's
Guard
going to be
with
on
Tony Todd.
stream talking to us. So
I wish.
No, he's too busy voicing Venom in the Spider-Man games.
Oh, okay, cool.
Also, Idle, for your consideration, at the 2013 Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, Galaxy Quest received enough support in a Star Trek film ranking to be included in the 12 Star Trek films that had been released at the time of the voting ballot. And it was ranked as the 7th best at the time. I disagree with that, but it was ranked as
much
one.
higher, yeah.
That's fantastic. But it's not a Star Trek film. Anyway,
Dude, do you realize
the
you
2013
are the
Las
enemy?
Vegas-
You are the enemy that you swore to destroy with all the disco haters. This is real Star Trek.
Oh, well, no words. We'll be back next week. And if you haven't checked it out, please go and check out our charity stream stuff. The charity link is still live. If you want to donate to the International Rescue Foundation, you go to bit.ly/trektime23. You can donate and it goes to a good cause. I'm probably going to keep that live for as long as we need to, and we'll do a final count up soon.
They're not getting their money until we say they're getting their money.
I'd like to disclose they have already received the money. All the money goes direct to them. We don't hold anything.
I also have to leave you with one last quote, okay? So, William Shatner on Galaxy Quest. I thought it was very funny, and I thought the audience that they portrayed was totally real. But the actors that they were pretending to be were totally unrecognizable. Certainly, I don't know what Tim Allen was doing. He seemed to be the head of a group of actors, and for the life of me, I was trying to understand who he was imitating. The only one I recognized was the gub. He said that.
Bullshit.
That's the funniest.
This is a Captain Idle quote.
That's the funniest thing that William Shatner has ever said. It's the funniest thing.
Wow. All right, I take it back. Just for fuck you, William Shatner is a Star Trek film. All right, we will be back soon. Check our Discord, check our links, and all the kind of fun stuff we do. I would leave you with Kate Colombo, but I've broken everything in my OBS, so we're just gonna go. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Hurrah! Live long and prosper.